gorgeous group of people. Thank you for being here. Sit, get comfortable. I love you so much. I'm so grateful to you. Thank you, God. Thank you so much for coming out and being here. Love you. Truly, truly, I love you, and I'm so grateful to you. You know, I'm so grateful that you allow me to do this job that's so important to me, that I think is objectively important to the nation. And honestly, and I'm grateful to you for coming out and proving what I said at the end of that last speech there, that we will not be silenced and we will not be afraid, and we will continue on the mission that Charlie was on and that we've all been on together. We know it's not without risk. That's life. You know, I mean, the beautiful thing about courage, and Charlie was a fan of saying this, was that all it requires is that you say yes. Just yes, that's it. You don't have to feel good about it. You don't have to feel fearless about it. You just have to say yes and then do the thing. And all of you guys did that here tonight. I know it. And I know maybe like me, you had a spouse or a person in your life who said, is it the best idea? Right? God bless Duggar. It was funny because I said to my therapist, I'm like, Doug doesn't want me to do it. And he said, Doug is having exactly the right reaction for a spouse. And I said, but I told him I'm doing it. And he said, and you are having exactly the right reaction for you. And Doug got on board. Doug got on board. So we have such a great lineup tonight. I love Calley Means. Do you know Calley Means? Have you been watching him? I mean, he is the heart of Maha. There's no one who's more Maha than Calley Means, including RFK Jr. And including his sister, Casey Means, who's about to be confirmed as our Surgeon General. Calley Means is the man who is implementing Maha. If you're a Maha mom or a Maha dad, we have him to thank for this beautiful movement. And then, of course, we're going to have Piers Morgan, who takes no BS from anyone. He and I go way back, and can I tell you, Piers is one of the reasons I'm doing what I'm doing, but I'll get to that when I introduce him individually. And he's got a book out now called Woke is Dead. It sounds so good, doesn't it? It's like music to your ears. And we're going to talk about whether it is. Is it actually dead? Is it on life support? What is it? And then, of course, we've got Trump. Eric Trump, who, don't kid yourselves, could be the Trump we're voting for within 8 to 12 years. I don't rule it out for Eric Trump. I think he actually might do it. I'm not ruling out Don Jr. either. Both of them are possibilities. I kind of winkled that out of Don Jr. when I spoke with him in Texas, and we'll see what Eric has to say, but totally capable and totally possible. On the subject of woke is dead, something happened today that I wanted to talk to you guys about just to kick it off, and then we'll take some Q&A before I bring the guests out. There was an extraordinary situation at Condé Nast. Now, I've been to the Condé Nast buildings because remember when the left loved me for those 5 minutes that Trump and I were fighting? And they invited me to all these things, and then they realized, oh my God, actually, she's not like us at all. We hate her. So I got invited to go to the Condé Nast building by Anna Wintour. Yes, she's just as much of a bitch as you think she is. Yes. Like, to walk down the hallway to go visit her, all of her like staffers actually were wearing the Janet Jackson headsets, like, and we're walking. I'm like, isn't it just the fashion lady? Why are we pretending that there's a head of state in there? She had a plate of steak brought out to her, like they knew exactly what she wanted. She had 2 bites of it. I remember I was starving and I was like, I know from the movie you're not allowed to eat. Anyway, I was at Condé Nast. And I met all the heads of magazines at Condé Nast. David Remnick was there, The New Yorker. Of course, Anna was at the head of the table. And they were all very stuck up and prigs and unfortunate people, demanding that I declare that I'm pro-choice. I mean, it was really kind of like the terms of my being there. I'm like, what is happening? Why am I here? So that's Condé Nast. And they went very, very woke very, very early on. Because that was before 2020 and George Floyd-a-Palooza. That was back in like 17. And you could feel it. You could see it with the staff. You could see it with the heads of the magazine and so on. And it explains a couple of things that would happen later. For example, when my staff and I are covering stories, and we're all searching the news, figuring out what are the stories that we want to do, we recognized that a magazine, an online magazine called Wired, had gone really weirdly woke. Wired, it's a tech magazine for techies, about tech. And like they were taking a stand on every trans issue and they were on the wrong side. In particular, on the Megyn Kelly story, you know, that man's picture was featured there as the boxer pretending to be a woman. Intersex, technically Megyn Kelly is, but look, the reason Megyn Kelly looks like a man is because he has XY chromosomes, and he has male reproductive organs on the inside. He may have been born with a female reproductive look on the outside, but it's a man. It's an unfortunate position, but it's a man. And in every way relevant to athletics, it's a man. And that's why Megyn Kelly was beating the shit out of every woman he boxed in the Olympics and won the gold medal. Remember, the women were like falling down immediately, saying, oh my God, I've never been punched so hard in my life, right? Because men tend to be stronger than we are. So Wired got out on the limb with Megyn Kelly and many other. I thought, what's happening at Wired? Well, they went super woke because they were part of Condé Nast and Anna Wintour's empire. And that is why I'm so happy to show you the clip I'm about to show you. So something happened at Condé Nast that I absolutely love. A bunch of people who worked at Teen Vogue got fired, which is great because they're as woke as they come. Yeah, one of their writers tweeted out like, I don't understand, I've been writing about intersectionality and skin color and trans issues, and I thought that's what I was hired to do, and now I'm out of a job. It's like, you're starting to get it. You're so close. You just give it a little bit more thought and you're gonna be there. So you know how the young wokesters are now. They have no respect for authority. They think they run the asylum. And what did they do? They decided to get together and pay a little visit to the head of HR, a guy named Stan. All right, now, before I show you this clip, I just want you to remember, we talked about this when I first launched the show in 2020, what happened at Evergreen College. I think it was 2019, right around there, where, speaking of the inmates running the asylum, the young wokesters on the college campus they stormed the office of the head of school and the admissions office. They wanted reparations and all the things, and demanded, because of their skin color, that they have extra things that the whites didn't have, and it was ridiculous. And the school bent the knee. I mean, they couldn't have gotten down on the knee fast enough. And they humiliated. Remember, there was a young black girl who they made apologize for being nice to Brett Weinstein, a professor who was on campus, who had said, should we really be forcing whites to take off the days that the black students say they have to take off just as a show of solidarity? I think it feels a little racist. And the black student said, yeah, you might be raised a nice guy. And they humiliated this girl and made her do a forced apology. So just keep that in mind as you watch what happened at Condé Nast today with our friend Stan, when the fired Teen Vogue workers and others, including a guy from Wired, tried to confront him.
So everyone, we'd appreciate if you would go back to the workplace where you're...
Is there a place that you would be able to speak to us?
Not today. We have other things going on.
Do you think we're not worth speaking to, Stan?
Those are your words, not mine.
But they might be your beliefs.
They're not my beliefs.
Oh, okay. So you do think we're worth speaking to?
Everyone should go back to your workplace.
I work here.
To dismiss us instead of talk to us.
You told us that we had to come work in person here 4 days a week. Stan, are you running away from us?
No, I'm directing you back to your place. Just go this way, you guys.
Will you come this way with us? No,
I'm in a meeting. I'm working.
Okay. Well, we have some quick questions. If you answer them, we'd be happy to go back to our desks.
All right. Thank you.
For you? Is that a good answer, guys?
Absolutely not. Come on, Stan.
That's not a really good answer, Stan.
We're
Stan, these are
concerned
your...
about our colleagues.
Yeah.
We're concerned
about our
company, and you're disengaging with the employees who work here.
What are you going to do to stand up to the Trump administration?
Go Stan. Can I just tell you, for a guy who runs human resources at Condé Nast to not bend the knee immediately, for the non-binary person who is all over Stan, for all the ones who said, I've been fired, Stan, how dare you fire me? You owe us accountability, Stan. This guy was hired by Condé Nast in 2019 at peak woke. Right? Can you imagine what his reaction would have been, let's say, June of 2020, if that same group confronted him and demanded explanations as to why they were losing their intersectionality jobs writing for the Condé Nast magazines? It's a breakthrough. The fact that Stan didn't give them what they wanted, walked them right out the door, and by the way, most of those people were fired. The ones who hadn't been fired, who were protesting, they all got fired for that behavior. It's a watershed moment. More and more of these incidents are coming up right? Like Jennifer Lawrence talking to the New York Times, we played this on the show yesterday, saying, I'm just not going to talk about my politics anymore. I don't think celebrities matter. Right. You're starting to get it. Thank you, right? Sydney Sweeney, same thing, like, I'll let you know when I have something that I want you to hear, right? Like, just the controlled, like, no, I won't be baited by you, leftist reporter, into saying something you think will hurt me. It's starting to happen before our very eyes. And so I do think the Piers Morgan book is very timely, and he's got a point. All right, we'll leave it there for now. Let's take your questions. Thank you so much for being here. There. Oh, here we go, right here. Hi.
Hi, Megyn. So we met backstage. My name is Stan, but I'm not that Stan.
No, we love Stans today.
I go by Stanley. So anyway, my question's a little bit off topic. So to preface it a little bit, and I promised my 7-year-old daughter that I would give a shout out to her. So can you please say I love you, Kalina?
I love you, Kalina.
Thank you. All right, so my wife and I are first-generation immigrants from Poland. We live in Chicago, which is a very woke city.
Dzień dobry.
Thank you. My question is, so we're huge fans. We listen to your podcast all the time, and your stance on immigration, and the name eludes me, but is a representative from the state of Florida who I think is a proponent of the Dignity Act, which essentially states that if you've lived here for an X amount of years and you can justify that you've never been on government support and you've never committed a crime, that's another one, there should be some sort of pathway to citizenship. And I think that's a better question for Eric and President Trump. Mm-hmm. But how do you feel about that?
Stan, again, is this a confession?
Kind of. It's kind of a confession, because I will say openly that my parents, I was born in Poland, but I was 10 months old when we moved here in 1989 as asylum seekers from communists.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a different story, of course. I appreciate the question, and I'm not inhuman. I understand there are a lot of good people who are in that position in the United States right now who realistically will never be deported, because we can't even seem to deport the ones who are extra, who have committed violent felonies and are here illegally. But if you're asking me what my belief, in the policy is, I think they have to go. They got to go. We can barely take care of our own, and we really can't take care of an extra 20 million who are here illegally. And you can blame it on Joe Biden, who opened up the floodgates and just let way too many across the border. So I am in favor of deporting everyone who is here illegally. And President Trump has made it such that you can leave and come back if you admit you're here illegally. But if you stay and Tom Homan finds you, then you're leaving and you're never coming back. So with all due respect to your family and you, I think if you're not here lawfully, you got to go. And I hope you come back. Hi there.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, hon.
So I'm 13 years old, and I'm interested when I'm older to be a lawyer or even a politician.
Awesome.
And
wow.
I'm in 8th grade right now, and I'm running for 8th grade class president.
Oh.
And
look at her getting up second in the line.
And I was wondering if you can give me any advice on how to make it where you are, and like how to influence others like you do.
Oh, you're so sweet. Oh, I feel like you're already on your way, right? Because you're sitting in the front row of your life. You got up, you asked a question of somebody who, is up on stage here. You didn't feel intimidated. Second in line, you stood up, you have your shoulders back, you projected your voice. Look at you, you're smiley, you're affable, everybody liked you immediately. This is a risk that paid off for you immediately, and it will continue to, because this is who you are. We can see it in you. Keep taking these risks. Sit down, ask yourself, how you can win this election, what actually will resonate with your classmates, like what do they want, not what you want, but what do they want, and how can you speak to them? And then don't be afraid to ask for their vote. Go around and say, I'd love it if you would vote for me. What will it take? What can I do for you? What will make you happy? What will make your lives better? Really try to come to understand what matters to them, whether you're a politician in the 8th grade or one actually running for a House seat, which could happen for you actually in the not too distant future. But practice. Keep standing up for yourself and do it over and over and over and over again, and then you get a lot better at it as time goes on. I definitely believe in law school. I don't know about the practice of law, but I think if you're going to be a politician, read the Bible, keep going to church, or start if you haven't already, and remember to shore up your moral core, because you're going to need it. Good luck, honey. Thank you.
Hi, Megyn. My name is Tucker. I
Hi.
met you earlier.
Yes.
I am the reality TV producer who solved my aunt's murder. That's not the point of this. I want to keep it lighthearted. I'm curious what you have to say to Don Lemon, who says you look like a transgender. I haven't heard you respond to that, and I think he's a fucking idiot because you are beautiful.
To quote Sydney Sweeney, I'll let you know when I have something to say about that.
Hello, ma'am. I have a question. There is a story today that the American Airlines is about to announce the layoffs for thousands of American workers throughout their company and offshoring them to India. The president recently scored a major victory in getting the United and American Airlines unions to announce their support for the president, the first time they have ever supported a Republican in history. My question is, as a young American, as young Americans like me, we are noticing fewer jobs and increased competition with non-native workers. Student visas and work visas like the H-1 visa have made employment for many of Americans, especially for myself and young Americans, nearly impossible. How can we convince American companies to keep jobs in America, and when can we anticipate the end of the H-1 visa and a moratorium on immigration to defend American workers?
That's a great question. I'm sorry that you're suffering. It's wrong. And I think what's happened here, and this actually is a largely Republican problem too. I mean, I grew up in the Republican Chamber of Commerce is the one principally responsible for this problem. And every Republican president was listening to the more old school Republicans who said we had to have these foreign workers and their companies weren't going to be able to sell cheap goods without them and so on. And there's still an ear to that argument, as you may know. And it's really unfair to our own working class people and young people who actually will take these jobs. The truth is not that they're doing jobs Americans won't do. The truth is that we're not willing to pay a living wage so that more Americans are attracted to them. We'd rather pay the dirt poor wages that we can get foreigners to take, which is deeply unfair. And I think these companies with these enormous profit margins in so many of these industries should take the hit, should take care of, if they're America first, it's not about just showing up to support President Trump at the inauguration. It's about hiring American and making sure that they're grooming next generation so you can buy a house, so you can get married, so you can have a life that's better than the one your parents gave to you. So you're right to complain, and you're square over the target. Thank you.
Hi, Megyn. Thank you for taking my question.
Hi. Love your jacket.
Thank you. I was born on Flag Day, same day as President Trump.
Wow. Well done.
So that's awesome. So my question to you is, I have 4 children. 2 of them are type 1 diabetics. So I'm hoping you'll be able to bring this over to Calley Means for me.
Okay.
My daughter, who is the youngest, had the nerve to turn 26 and fell off of my insurance. And now she is out on her own, but has to pay $900 a month for her medications to stay alive. And so I'm hoping that there is some other programs. I have volunteered for the JDRF and now Breakthrough Type 1 Diabetes and all that to try to get more information on how to help these people.
Does she have a job?
She does.
Does she have health insurance?
She just got full-time, and so her health insurance will kick in December 1st. But she went on Obamacare in July when she fell off of my insurance.
Mm-hmm. And she doesn't love it. She's not alone. I mean, I have to be honest, I don't think the Republicans have a plan for this, and I know the Democrats don't have a plan for this other than endless subsidies to help people afford a plan that's not affordable. You know, Barack Obama shoved that plan down our throats against our will by his pen in his phone and his bully nature. And we've been dealing with the fallout from it ever since. And these subsidies are going to expire. It does not. I will ask Eric to see whether we think there's a deal that's going to, get passed on that. But people have all but given up on health care. I think they've just decided it's too much of a morass and they're not willing to help. So I think that, the best way forward is a good job with good benefits. Unfortunately, not everybody can do that. I respect your willingness to work so hard to help your daughter, and I'll ask Calley when he comes out here, and Eric too. Oh, God bless. Hi there.
Hi.
Oh, I love your shirt.
Thank you. Tonight, we are Megyn, America, great again.
Oh, that's so sweet. You're a doll.
Also, a big thank you to Charlie. My girls voted for the first time this year, Trump, of course. My number one issue why I vote Republican is judges. I hope Alito and Thomas retire after the midterms. I think it's critical we don't make the same mistake that Obama and RBG made. What are your thoughts on that? And I have a message from you to me.
Friend of yours, Megyn Kelly.
How's it going? I wish I could meet you. You sound like a person of good character, good judgment.
Yes, he is.
Smart guy.
He's a wonderful guy. He adores you.
I think I was right. Listen, it's a scary thought to me to think about Alito and Thomas retiring, right? Those are the two we can always depend on to do the most sense on the bench. But I take your point. We don't want an RBG situation, you know, and they're getting a little long in the tooth. I had to say this out loud, but there is some speculation about what happened on Tuesday being so bad that some are now worrying that the Republicans might actually lose the Senate in the midterms. Think about that. What if they lose the Senate? Then we need Alito and Thomas to go nowhere, right? Like then if that's actually in play, they need to retire right away, right? Because you need the 51 votes in the Senate to get them confirmed. So I don't know. I'm very reluctant to say they need to go, you know, now because we really need them. They're better than anybody. But I would say if we get any closer to those midterms and there's more talk about, like serious talk about Republicans possibly losing that Senate, then they do. They got to go. We cannot have it. You certainly cannot have a, you know, President Newsom filling those two spots. So thank you for the question. Thank you for the shirt.
Very nice to meet you. My name is Benjamin. I am 21 years old. I'm a current senior at Florida International University studying broadcast journalism and pre-law.
Good for you.
Thank you. And so I actually started my media journey 10 years ago. When I was 11 years old, I started working professionally at 16, and I was inspired by you and by the Pat McAfees of the world who decided, you know what, I have a great voice, I know I have an audience, I know I have a group of people who can relate to me, I'm going to start my own show independently. And because of that, I started my own podcast. First, it was very sports-centric. Now, as I've grown older, it has sort of pivoted into just almost a Roganism in the sense that I only have conversations with people that I'm interested in learning from. I've also worked for the mayor's office, Mayor Suarez here in South Florida in the city of Miami, who's termed out now but is doing an amazing job. My question to you is, I apologize for all the context. I have found out in doing some reflecting, I am very interested in pivoting from media to public service. I think it is something that is so fulfilling in terms of helping people, whether it's at a local level or a state level or a municipal level. My question to you would be, as someone who has really been in this game for a long time, how can I go from pivoting to being the one who asks the questions to the one who hopefully people trust to ask questions of, and hopefully I can give them answers that can really help bring solutions to the table.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for that, and good for you. You seem perfectly suited for the job, so good for you. I mean, we need more great young men and women interested in politics. That's the answer to our problems, frankly, because what we have there now is a mess and inspires no one. I don't think it's as hard as you think. You know, there are a lot of young people who actually start running. In fact, a great organization you might want to connect with is Turning Point USA, which has helped people like Anna Paulina Luna run for office and make it. Like the reason we know her name is because of Turning Point. And you get connected with a great organization like that that's got the grassroots connections. They can really help you. There are also quite a few books written by young whippersnappers who have decided to run for office or create a cause that they try to get in front of young politicians. And it's surprisingly simple, but you have to get your name out there. You have to build a constituency. And I think if you're actually doing a podcast, that's probably a great place to start in terms of groundswell of support. I wouldn't give that up just because you want to run for office. You could do both simultaneously, and they probably serve each other. Good luck. I think we're going to wrap it there for now. You guys, I apologize to everybody standing. Okay, one more. Yeah, Jiffy quick.
Thank you so much, Megyn.
Go for it.
I'm actually nervous about this, but I listen to you all the time online. I even reached out to Bill O'Reilly for this question as well. So I'm a physical therapist. I work in a hospital in South Broward. There's about 100 people who are Democrats and 5 who are Republicans, like myself. I was disciplined, verbally spoken to for talking about politics to one of my other coworkers in the lunchroom who is a Republican like myself. My question is, if I have a patient who wants to talk to me about politics, what's going on in the Republicans, and she's happy to talk to me about it, can I be fired or disciplined for that, and how do I handle that moving forward? Because I foresee it happening in the future.
Thank you for that. I would never advise you legally without seeing your working contract. I'm not going to give you legal advice from here because I'll probably get sued. But I would say as a general matter, it's fine for an employer to say politics don't belong in the workplace. I actually like that policy, frankly, because it's usually, as you point out, dominated by Democrats, and who wants to listen to them jabbering on all day about how much they love Kamala Harris? So this is actually a good policy as long as they've enforced it against both sides. And I think if a patient brought it up, there's very gentle, polite ways of getting out of bounds on that. You know, you can always give a generic response like, oh, you know, so many people feel that way, and then get out of bounds to something about the movies. I think that's actually a great thing because, let's face it, politics tends to stir people up. It can make them the heart race faster. It can make anger flow through the veins depending on the topic. And the hospital's probably not the greatest place for that. So I think you should lean into the policy, just make sure they're enforcing it against both sides, and find some stuff other than politics that bring us together to bring up with these sick patients. Thank you for working in nursing. All right, thank you guys all so much. We're going to get this show on the road because we've got some great guests who are waiting and they cannot wait to meet you. Don't miss a moment. Subscribe to this show on YouTube and follow me on Insta, Facebook, and X. If you've ever Googled yourself, you know how many results contain your personal info. It's a horror show. And it's also not by chance. Your info is available. Name, address, phone number, financial info, your income, legal and health history. It can all be on there. And it can also be sold and shared publicly without your consent. There are real risks here, including financial scams, identity theft, unfair targeting by insurance companies, and general safety risks. But I want to tell you about Incogni. Incogni helps you take control of your online privacy. You sign up, you allow them to act on your behalf, and they demand that data brokers delete your personal info. Now they've introduced something huge, custom data removals. With their unlimited plan, Incogni's privacy team will get your info taken down from any specific site. Right now, you can get 60% off an annual plan by heading to incogni.com/Megyn and using code Megyn at checkout. It's risk-free with their 30-day money-back guarantee. Take your personal data back with Incogni. Get 60% off an annual plan at incogni, incogni.com/Megyn. Code Megyn at checkout. First up, we're going to bring out Calley Means in 1 minute. Now, Calley Means is brilliant. He went to, I always get it confused, but I think it was Stanford undergrad and Harvard MBA. And then he went to work for the beverage industry, Coca-Cola. And he was on the inside of the big, bad beverage company that wanted to pump all the disgusting stuff into their drinks and then pump all the drinks into us and didn't seem to give two craps what it was doing to America's youth in particular, never mind all of us. And Calley Means he's sort of like a Michael Schellenberger who started off as a Greenpeace activist and then went on to work for Solyndra, that solar company that was taking all the Obama subsidies, before he realized this is a scam. I'm on the wrong side. These people say they care about the environment, but they don't at all. They only care about like one thing, maybe the ozone layer, like maybe global warming, but they don't care about the earth at all. And Calley seemed to come to a similar realization when he understood that this beverage company didn't care at all about actually servicing the American population. Seemed like they might have been more interested in getting us all sick. And then he looked at the healthcare industry and found exactly the same conclusion, which is deeply disturbing. I sat next to Calley. I sat in between Calley and Casey Means at the RFK confirmation hearing. And it's one of my favorite stories about getting to know him because at those things you're supposed to be like stoic and you're supposed to just sit in the background like, right? Like you're unflappable, you know, nothing they ask him can bother you. You're not going to give them a face for the evening news. And having been in news, okay, I sat there emotionless. It was whatever. It was also my Botox, but it was fine. I nailed it. And Casey and Calley are both such big personalities, and they're both so fired up about this issue. It was hilarious because you'd have some jerk up there cross-examining Kennedy on some totally unfair question, right? Whatever, Senator Mark Warner, could have been Bill Cassidy. And these two next to me are like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. Come on, no, it isn't, no. And I'm like, but that's how deeply they feel it, right? And then the best thing possible happened. They both agreed to go into the Trump administration. Both could be making millions on their own in private practice, private industry. but they did it because they genuinely care more about all of us than they do about their own pocketbook. Here's a little intro to Calley Means.
What is happening to our health in this country, and uniquely in America, is dark.
It's probably a bad way to start off a podcast of how fucked we are.
50% of teens and 80% of adults are overweight. The number one item purchased with food stamps in America is addictive diabetes water.
So the U.S. government pays people to drink soda?
10% of all food stamps funding goes to soda. We're the only country in the world that allows that. Wow.
We are truly incentivizing poison for kids, and then the healthcare industry profits when they're sick.
Now it's about obesity and trying to get Ozempic to 6-year-olds. This drug medically is an absolute disaster. They don't allow this drug for obesity in Europe. They're taking advantage of a broken U.S. system in the United States.
It is insane for you to insinuate that the thing standing between us and better health is more government bureaucrats. The lobbyists in this room laughing when we have the sickest children in the developed world.
I think people are waking up. I really do.
They're clamoring to this message.
And making America healthy isn't complicated. It just takes political courage.
I got a call from Calley Means, and he asked if I would talk to President Trump. And I said, of course.
Watching RFK and Trump at a rally, it's the most electric political experience I've ever seen.
Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
When RFK starts saying we're going to get to the bottom of why our food for our kids is poison and we're going to reverse childhood chronic disease by taking on this corruption, when they say that, it's electric. It's like a release.
I'm fired up.
Great. Tell us everything. How's it going?
You know, my mind always goes back to an hour after Secretary Kennedy got sworn in and by President Trump. And President Trump looked at him and said, I have your back. Special interests have rigged our healthcare system, rigged our food system for decades. And he said, I want you to get in a room with the USDA Secretary of Agriculture, the administrator of the EPA, the military leadership, across the entire government, the Treasury, the OMB, and he said, I want you to figure out why kids are getting so sick, and I want you to be fearless, and I want you to completely ignore special interests. And what he particularly said to do is look at trend lines between different countries. And you look at what's happening in America, and it's very unique and pronounced. In America, when a child is born, we actually recommend 2 times more vaccines than they do in Norway. In America, a child's diet is 70% ultra-processed food, and it's 10% in other countries. In America, the American Medical Association, which really controls the standard of care for everyone in this room, still recommends gender-affirming care for 2-year-olds.
Oh my God, that is sick.
You just go through the inputs to American health, you know, getting older. A teen is 8 hours on their phone. We have the highest cancer rates for kids of any society in human history this year in America. Iowa, particularly, is the highest rates of cancer of any place in the world in human history. Childhood obesity rates, diabetes rates are 6 times more than any other developed country in the world. So President Trump asked them to get in the room, and we started talking about the real root cause. We started talking about our food system. We started talking about environmental toxins and chemicals. It's talking about these for the first time, things that the Democrats, Republicans in the past would never talk about. And it's interesting, you mentioned that my background in the soda industry, and just last week, the soda industry started a group like the thing I used to do, $200 million, every single food company in the world. And they came into the White House and they said, this is hurting jobs to take food stamp funding away from soda. They said, we need, because we're building new factories, we need to keep ultra-processed food in school lunches because the Trump administration is taking a sledgehammer to school lunch, to crappy food in school lunches and getting fresh food in schools. They said that it is completely inappropriate that the FDA is finally studying the chemicals in our food. We have 10,000 more chemicals in our food today than Europe. And the FDA actually has the gall with the NIH to study them, and they said that's going to hurt our business. And the administration said, no thanks, you can get out of this office. And that has never happened
Thank
before.
God.
And I'll just say that the reason I'm fired up is because this is what is happening on every single front. This administration is taking on big, messy conversations on every single level. They are putting warriors in there to go up against entrenched interests. Pete Hegseth absolutely dismantling the military-industrial complex. We are shutting down the Department of Education, which we spend more on education than any country in the world, and we're failing. We're shutting down, returning that back to the states. We have insurgents, Tulsi Gabbard. Every single part of the US economy, we are asking bold questions, and every single time, the media, the expert class, the entire organs of DC that profit from this existing system are saying that President Trump is failing, that Bobby Kennedy is failing, that Pete Hegseth is failing. This is a psyop. The Democrats are saying that the status quo is acceptable and all we need to do is put more money into our existing systems. And I think this midterm coming up, I think we need to harden up right now. I think we have an opportunity for President Trump to be the most important president in American history. And we must harden up. We must resist this psyop that's happening because this is a long-term journey. We need 10 years of MAGA to really uproot these institutions.
Yes, 100%. We need not only Trump, we need Trump Jr., JD, Marco, any of them will keep the Maha legacy going. So speak to us about the many reports that RFKJU are being undermined from within.
So I was forwarded from one of the good career employees, and just so everyone knows, the FDA, when Marty McCary, who's a hero, came in, he's amazing. For a couple of months, he had just around 10 political appointees. So those are people he was actually able to choose. Jay Bhattacharya at the NIH had one. So every employee in government is these deep staters. They've been there for a long time. And I got an email from one of the good ones, and they're sending around a CIA manual called How to Be a Bad Bureaucrat and Subvert an Institution from Within. Wow. And they said that 90% of employees at HHS, which has 70,000 employees, are working and talking in the lunchroom about this manual and telling each other that their job is to save America and save science from the agenda of President Trump and RFK. That is how people think throughout, I think, every major department.
How do we get rid of them? Yes, right.
This is where the psyop comes in. The CDC has been. Can you think of a better case study of failure? Can you think of a better public health disaster than the COVID response, where the CDC accidentally, in their guidance on school lockdowns, copy and pasted directly from the teacher union document who they were in bed with. They copy and pasted the paragraphs from the teachers union saying that we should shut schools down for 2 years. They said that cloth masks were fine, right? They
also funded the whole pandemic.
Not to mention, with the NIH, funding literally the creation of the pandemic with the gain of function research. I mean, you could not have a bigger example of failure. RFK correctly fires 3 employees, and it is national news. Pete Hegseth, when our kids are being sent into thoughtless war after thoughtless war, we spend more on the military than the rest of the world combined. We're not getting the right outcomes. We're not positioned for the future. He fires a couple generals. Front page breathless news. There is an absolute information architecture to say that these actually pretty moderate and pretty things that 90% of people in the country would agree with are absolutely attacks on the American way of life, and we need to harden up and absolutely resist that. They need to be firing a lot more people. They need to be doing a lot more, which President Trump is which President Trump is telling them to do. President Trump, my image of President Trump from my time in the White House, he sits at that desk, and the issues of the world come in and out of his office in a 15-minute increment, and he sits there and tells them to go hard. That's what he says every time.
How's Bobby Kennedy feeling about the job?
Bobby is very similar. I've been so fortunate to see him up close, and he has an incredible, I'd call, spiritual mindset on this. I think he is put on this earth for this mission, and I think he is in the running behind President Trump as the second most attacked person in the country, and he is never, ever flustered.
But he's the most popular cabinet member. Did you know that? Yeah. Number 1.
He sits behind his desk and says, how can we get kids healthier food? How can we support American farmers? How can we get cell phones out of schools? How can we get recess in schools? 40% of public schools actually don't have mandatory recess. These are all things that are, it's unbelievable. This is the agenda of the administration right now. In the senior most meetings, it is how can we get food stamps to healthy food? How can we work with local farmers to get whole food for schools? How can we have more medical funding instead of going to SSRI rates among teenage girls going up 8 times in the past 5 years, 8x it's gone up. How can we get to the root cause of these issues of mental health? It's just constant hammering on getting to the root cause, very positive things, but he's slandered. But somehow, him and President Trump are the 2 most popular political officials in America, still to this day, much more popular than Gavin Newsom.
Yes. Low bar.
And I think that comes, this is what we talk about. We're trying to do the right thing. We're trying to do the right thing. We are going to get slandered, but people in that White House and people under Secretary Kennedy are trying to push against these broken institutions that have led, I think, to a poisoning of the American people. It's just that simple. 90% of our healthcare costs, which are the biggest part of our budget, the biggest driver of unaffordability right now, 90% of those healthcare costs are preventable lifestyle conditions. But we have a system, the medical system, the largest industry in the country, the fastest growing industry in the country, not as a conspiratorial statement, just as a statement of fact, they profit from people being sick. That is the fatal flaw of Obamacare. Obamacare actually incentivizes this sick care system. Companies actually make more money when people are sick. They capped insurance profits at 15%, so insurance companies want to make more and more premiums, and premiums go up, 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 and insurance companies want you sick. The reason our healthcare costs are so high, the reason we have 3 times higher healthcare costs than any other country in the developed world is because we're so sick. And we must, and the Republican Party, quite frankly, is the only place where they're saying, how can we fundamentally reform this? It's got to be about health, and the Democrats are saying we need to shut down the government to pour more money into this broken system without any reform.
That's such a good point, right? Because you and your sister have been focused from the beginning on changing the system of let's keep everybody sick and then put them into this healthcare system that makes corporations rich, to why don't we encourage some exercise? Why don't we change the food pyramid? Why don't we talk about detoxifying people's lives? Why don't we talk about the vaccine schedule for newborn babies and maybe actually create wellness so that they don't need the insurance companies anywhere near as much as they do now? But what do you think about, like, we had a questioner come out earlier talking about his daughter who still just has a new job, but is paying $900 a month to be insured. Like, that's impossible for somebody who's young and just starting out.
Well, the issue of the day after the previous elections a couple days ago is affordability. And healthcare is, as I said, the largest driver of lack of affordability. It's 25% of our national spend, our national income. It used to be 4% in 1940. In European countries, it's 10%. It's skyrocketing out of control. So on a personal level, we need to allow young people to get outside the medical system, to have catastrophic coverage, but to really invest in their wellness, their health. And young people are suffering. Young people are suffering from chronic rates of anxiety, obesity, depression, infertility, and they're being funneled into the sick care system. So I'd advise her to find the cheapest plan she can with the highest rate of coverage and just invest in her own health. But let's not mince words, and I think this is what Republicans need to understand. These institutions, the military, the immigration system, the healthcare system, they're oil tankers. As aggressive as the Trump administration is being, we are starting the bold conversation to start turning these things. But I do see MAGA as a 10-year journey. We have to have a healthcare system where hospitals are incentivized for beds to be empty instead of full, as they are today. We need a pharmaceutical industry that is incentivized to prevent and reverse disease instead of manage it when all their revenue comes from people getting sick and managing it. We need insurance companies to be incentivized for wellness, which will lower costs. The Republican Party, and I think the Maha argument of the system being so broken and slanted against us, is the predicate for a real conversation about healthcare reform. And I'm worried, Megyn, because I do think with this affordability question, healthcare it's at a breaking point. We will have a different healthcare system, I think, in the next 5 years.
And we are marshaling a conversation what true reform to unleash thriving of the American people looks like, which is so central to this Maha argument. The Democrats are going to have socialized medicine, and we need to win this argument. We need to continue supporting President Trump in winning this argument about a reform that we need, or else we're going to have socialized medicine, I fear.
Let me ask you about the big O, Ozempic. Because President Trump just announced that he's going to push a program that would make the drug a lot cheaper for a lot of people. But you're not a fan of this drug, so how do you feel about that?
So what President Trump has done actually is one of the most aggressive moves against pharma in modern American history. So he is demanding that every single drug is at the best possible price compared to the rest of the world. And Ozempic costs $1,600 when it's $80 in Germany. $80 in Germany and $1,600, and they were trying to push it on the American taxpayer. So he said, this is not happening. I'm going to use tariffs. I'm going to use every single tool in the tool belt to get drug prices at the same price, the most competitive price to the rest of the world. The U.S. is 4% of the population of the world, and we produce 75% of worldwide pharmaceutical profits right now. 75%. So the Ozempic is a drug. It's out there. And this announcement was part of that overall plan, and they've dramatically lowered the cost of the drug. Now, as Secretary Kennedy and others said at the press conference announcing it, obesity, and as I've said a lot, obesity is not a drug deficiency. We have a spiritual crisis in this country where there's an epidemic of obesity among 6-year-olds. I mean, that is a moral failing among our country. And while this is being approved for Medicare, in some cases Medicaid, stay away from the kids on this drug. We are going to improve the food system for these kids. But I will also say, we need an all-of-the-above strategy for obesity. The drug might be useful in some cases. It's much lower price right now. But this administration, in the next 4 years, is going to dramatically improve our food system and have healthy food on a child's plate, healthy food on our soldiers' plates. And I will bet anyone, these people in the media who are slandering Maha, saying Bobby Kennedy is dangerous, at the end of the Trump presidency, we are going to have shockingly lower rates of obesity, of diabetes, I think of cancer, of Alzheimer's, which is highly related to diabetes, because of the policies, all of the above policies, but also, and I think President Trump deserves credit for this, he, through his alliance with Bobby Kennedy, has unleashed, you've seen it, people are just talking about health more. Yeah. Moms are reading labels more. I hear moms, probably some in this room, that are demanding healthier food at their schools. People are just thinking about this stuff more. Snacking, actually, in the United States has gone down 7% just this year. The food industry is reeling. They're having to change their ingredients, lower sugar, add more protein. There is a lot happening, and I do see this whole movement as a 10-year bridge. You know, we're going to have lower drug prices. We're going to dramatically reduce our ultra-processed food consumption. We're going to be moving more. We're going to have a Surgeon General talking not about the need to take a drug, or as the last Surgeon General said, the greatest health threat being misinformation about vaccines. She's going to be talking about sunlight, exercise, healthy food. Like, these are simple things.
Yeah.
So
it's so
I'm very
encouraging.
optimistic.
I'm so hopeful about it. It's like if a few things hadn't happened, none of this would have happened. And, you know, of course, most of all, President Trump being elected. But to me, it's like you and Casey went on Tucker's show to talk about your book, Good Energy, which I highly recommend. It's so many good things in there. And it kind of changed everything. Like, senators saw it, I saw it. Before we knew it, you knew Don Jr., you were putting Bobby Kennedy, you met him, he saw it, in touch with Don Sr., a beautiful friendship was born, an endorsement came, which was a really important endorsement for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump won and rewarded RFKJ. He brought you into the administration, and Bob was your uncle. We're off to the races on this revolutionary approach to childhood wellness and wellness for all of us. I've got to leave it on this. How is Casey, who missed her confirmation hearing a few weeks ago because her baby decided to come that day? So what did she have? How is she? And when is she going to be sworn in as our Surgeon General?
Casey had a beautiful baby boy. just a month after my wife and I welcomed a beautiful baby
Oh,
boy.
congratulations.
So they're going to be best friends. And Casey, has been kind of under the radar, not able to talk, has been in Hawaii just summoning the good energy, and is just, I think, ready for battle. And the hearing was scheduled 2 days after her due date. These processes drag on, but I think we should be hearing from her very soon, and she's an amazing person.
You guys make an amazing team.
Thank
Last
you.
but not least, the New York Times reported that you were leaving the administration. Is that true?
So I was doing a special government employee job.
That's the same job Elon took
that
on. It's a
Elon
temporary
did, which,
job
which,
by its
which
nature.
termed out, but more news maybe to come soon.
Okay, but you're enjoying your position.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
This is a singular moment. I think we all feel it. I think we all felt it when we voted last November for President Trump. This is a singular moment in American history where the smartest people in the country, in the world, are coming to the Oval Office, battling and about big ideas, and with the encouragement of President Trump. We must continue to support the bravery of this administration.
Yes, including you. Maha forever. Thank you. Calley Means. Thank you. You did great. There you go, sir. Let's get real about staying healthy, especially when the world keeps throwing chemical-laden solutions at us. I want to tell you about Beekeepers Naturals. Their Propolis throat spray provides rock-solid immune support. Loaded with potent antioxidants, it neutralizes free radicals and arms you against whatever's going around. One quick spritz and you are set. No drowsiness, no junk, just nature doing its thing. And don't sleep on the Propolis nasal spray. It flushes, soothes, and wipes out germs in one go. What do they mean, don't sleep on it? Don't sleep on the Propolis? Like we'd put it underneath your pillow? I don't understand my ad. Don't sleep on it. What does that mean? It flushes, smooths, and wipes out germs in one go. Okay, I don't... okay, Steve Krakauer is telling me it's a phrase, like get after it. I think we need to tweak that wording in this ad with all due respect to Beekeepers Naturals. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Beekeepers Naturals is giving exclusive early access to their Black Friday sale. Go to beekeepersnaturals.com/Megyn or enter the code Megyn to get 30% off site-wide. That's BEEKEEPERS Naturals, naturals.com/. Megyn, I appreciate the spelling of Beekeepers Naturals, but I kind of feel like the audience has that one. That's Beekeepers, followed by the word naturals.com/Megyn. You got that. I have faith in you. Or you can just enter the code Megyn for your discount when you check out. Their biggest sale of the year, this is. These products always sell. They sell out once the Black Friday sale opens to the public. So grab yours right now. Beekeepers Naturals products are also available at Target, Whole Foods, Walmart, Amazon, CVS, and Walgreens. BEEKEE. You got it. You know what to do. All right, let's go. Isn't it great to be together? It's so great to see you. You're not alone. It's only the liberal media and the haters who want you to think that. We're in the majority right now.
We're from Chicago. We flew in just for this. I was like, we have to go. And then after what happened to Charlie, I'm like, we definitely have to go.
Don't miss your last chance to be part of the Megyn Kelly Live Tour.
It's a very important time in our country, Megyn.
Stand firmly. Do not waver on the truth.
Next stops, Bakersfield, Anaheim, and the grand finale in Glendale, Arizona, featuring special guest Erica Kirk. I really genuinely feel like it's more important right now than ever, for all the reasons. And it took courage for all of you to come.
The biggest thing we can do is be unafraid.
So go get your tickets right now before they sell out. MegynKelly.com. Presented by Y Refi and SiriusXM. I've talked throughout this tour and on the show many times about my time on the couch after NBC. And I have to tell you, like, I did a lot of soul searching about what I was going to do next and why I was feeling so pessimistic about a return to regular legacy media. I knew I didn't want to do it for obvious reasons. They're horrible. I knew I didn't belong there. Most of them didn't want me. And so I just figured, like, maybe I don't have a future in that. Maybe I'll hang out my legal shingle again and I'll go back to practicing law. But there were a few figures out there who I listened to regularly who kind of gave me the thought, or maybe I could just say all the things I want to say and have a career in this industry. Like, maybe it is possible to not bend the woke knee, genuflect at the altar of identity politics, say what's real, and just have a no BS approach to the news and still pay the bills. And one of the people who showed me that that could be done was Piers Morgan. I was a fan of Piers's from the beginning. He was fearless, funny, loves conflict. His background in tabloid news over in the UK has served him so well because he understands what's entertaining and how to translate news in a way for every man to consume it and enjoy it. Too many of our American newsmen, like, look at ABC Evening News, whatever, look down on you when they're presenting it. Not Piers. Piers wants to look up at you while he's delivering it to you. He will talk to anybody. He will have anybody debate on his show. He's not afraid of opposing viewpoints. If you want to hear both sides debated, his show is the best place to go. And he will fire it up and let it rip. And he's been doing it now for decades. It's one of the many reasons he's one of my heroes. Here's a little bit on Piers.
Welcome. We begin with some breaking news. Woke is dead. The war on common sense is officially over. No,
Piers,
those days are done.
Piers, you're shouting.
Because it's so stupid. Why can't I identify as a black lesbian? Why can't I, on International Women's Day, say, I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian? You'd already opened the absurdity door by saying it is limitless. Anyone can say, I'm a woman. We are finally free to call a spade a spade.
Did you invite me here to interrupt me, or are you going to let me
I think you're being a complete dick, if I'm honest with you. Nothing you're saying has anything to do with regret.
Hey, boy.
Don't call me boy.
You were not loved. You were not
Mr.
loved.
Trump, you're not
Is
loved.
that important to you?
No, it's not. You're not loved.
That's right. Crazy Piers Morgan. Did you see that show?
I believe it was a free and fair election and that you lost.
You don't really believe
That's my belief.
Well, then you're a fool. He sort of had it. I think Piers is over the hill.
Piers Morgan has a question for you.
My wife would divorce me if I took questions from Piers Morgan.
Okay, let me tell you what I think of you, you impertinent little twerp. I love eating steak. I'm not going to stop eating steak. Yeah. The very last thing on earth that will stop me eating steak is people like you with your pasty faces running into our restaurants telling us to stop eating steak.
Why are you so triggered by a flag? It's a rainbow flag. You mentioned Regent Street.
I'm not triggered by a rainbow flag. I'm triggered by the fact that everywhere I go, everything has to be a rainbow flag. Where's my straight flag?
It's everywhere.
It's never been a straight flag.
You're a straight flag.
The more she talks, the fewer votes she's going to get.
Investing in the ambitions and aspirations.
What did she just say?
Let's move forward and see where we are.
Modern salad gibberish.
Let's go.
Meghan Markle, nasty little bully, who sends staff into therapy, as the Spotify guy called them, a pair of effing grifters. What are your pronouns?
They, them.
What does that mean? There's only one of you.
What does they, them?
I've got to be honest with you, I don't understand the concept of what non-binary means. To me, this is the problem with the whole woke thing, is that it's inexplicable. Are you a female?
If you don't understand what non-binary means,
I don't.
then I'm not sure you're in a position to lead a debate.
So just tell me.
This has really become uncomfortably personal.
Has it? You said it, not me. As Winston Churchill said, it's not about being able to listen to opinions you agree with. We can all do that. It's about being able to tolerate opinions that you don't like. We have lost that, and it's being driven by the woke left.
Interview adjourned. Love you.
Piers Morgan, everyone! Woke is dead.
Good evening, Miami. I gotta say, this tour has been fantastic. When Megyn said, "Do you want to come and do that?" I said, "Yes." because I thought she would have the best audiences having the best time.
Yes.
And look, there you
Nailed
are.
it.
And it's funny, actually, looking at the Celebrity Apprentice. Anyone remember watching that season, Celebrity Apprentice? So at the end, Donald Trump, right before he met, I was just reminded of this and talking about it with Eric Trump backstage, that Donald Trump, his last words before he made me his apprentice were, "Piers, you're tough, you're vicious, you're possibly brilliant, I'm not sure." He said, "But you beat the hell out of everybody. You're my celebrity apprentice." And so when he won the presidency, I sent him a note. "Donald, you're tough, you're vicious, you're possibly brilliant, I don't know, but you beat the hell out of everybody, and you're president of the United States."
That is brilliant. All right, so I love the name of the book, Woke is Dead. I love it and I want it to be true. Is it true right now?
Not yet. So it's a bit like we're now in a game of whack-a-mole. You know whack-a-mole? So every time they poke their head up the wokies, you got to whack them down again. Because as Elon Musk said, it's like a virus. This thing came along, and the best description I've had of it was an Australian lady came up to me in London, and she said, "Mr. Morgan, I hope you don't mind me interrupting your walk." I said, "Not at all." And she said, "Here's the thing about these wokies." She said, "They just suck all the joy out of life." And I went, "Yes." And she said, "Don't let them get away with it, Mr. Morgan." So I've seen it ever since that conversation as my vocation in life, not to let the wokies suck the joy out of our life. Who's with me? Yes.
So well done. The they-them conversation with the non-binary person was one of your all-time best.
Well, I've never understood it. They say they're non-binary. Nobody knows what that means, right? And then I said, "What does that mean? What do you call yourself?" "I'm a they-them." And I said, "But there's only one of you." And I'm just a common sense guy, right? I'm a centrist journalist, common sense guy. But when I see one human being looking at me, insisting I call them they-them, I think I've literally died and gone to madland.
That's the problem with they-them. That one's taken. The whole thing is confusing. Like, how did we settle on allowing that?
None of it makes sense. It's like having 6'5" blokes in women's sport. Obviously, it's ridiculous.
Yes.
Right? Doesn't mean you're transphobic. I want trans people, if they want to lead their life like that, to have the same rights to fairness, equality, and safety that I have. No problem. Okay? It's not about hating people or wanting them to be victimized. Very important to say that, right? But, and it's a really important but, I don't want the trans activists to erode women's rights in their pursuit of those things. It's as simple as that.
Did you see that story in the news this week of the woman at the Gold's Gym in Los Angeles?
Ridiculous!
And it turns out that guy has a criminal history, the guy pretending to be a woman. Not only does he have a criminal history, he committed domestic violence so bad, he broke the mandible, the jawbone of the woman he was with, a compound fracture. You know, compound fractures when the bone is sticking out. Think of how badly he would have had to beat this woman in order to be causing that kind of damage and then convicted. And that's the man who's taking over the women's rooms in the Gold's Gyms. And it's pursuant to the law that Gavin Newsom and these Californians signed in. They wanted it.
And by the way, the woman, the actual woman who said, I feel really uncomfortable, rather than supporting her about her discomfort, they throw her out of the club.
Yeah.
And they let the transgender character, who's obviously, from what you're telling me, an awful person, continue to be using the club. How can that be right? Right? That is not right. So again, it's about fairness and equality and preserving women's rights. And I've got a 13-year-old daughter. I don't want her, if she suddenly becomes a great athlete at some sport, to have her place potentially, say, at the Olympics. I mean, get this. You won't believe this. I mean, even you, Megyn, have not heard anything like this. Okay. Last week, I interviewed a woman called Betty Yee. Anyone heard of Betty Yee? She's a candidate to be governor of California. And she came on to attack Katie Porter. It's not a candidate to be governor of California.
Angry woman.
Right, very angry woman. She's the one who always shouts at all her domestic staff, "Get out of the shot!"
Just
that one.
I mean, if we're being honest, get the fuck out of the shot.
Yeah, get the fuck out of the shot. She's that one. So this one, Betty, came on to attack Mad Katie with shouting at all the staff. And in the middle of it, I said, well, I went on Bill Maher's show with Katie Porter, and we had an argument about trans athletes in women's sport. And to my surprise, the Bill Maher audience, a little bit more liberal than the audience tonight, I suspect, but they all cheered me, not her. And she couldn't believe it. She was like, whoa, what? I thought everyone agreed with me about this, but they didn't. So I then turned to Betty E. I said, what do you feel? And she said, well, I kind of agree with Katie on that one. I went, uh-oh. And then I said, well, let me give you an example. You've got the Olympics coming to Los Angeles. If you're the governor of California, if you genuinely think there's no problem in having trans athletes in women's sport, would you advocate for a gender-neutral Olympics where all the men and women compete together? She went, yes. And then she said, especially in track and field where there's really no advantage.
Oh my God.
So imagine Usain Bolt in lane 1, and then the women in lane 2, 3, and 4. Apparently, he has no physical advantage over the women. What a load of baloney.
What an idiot.
And this woman wants to be the governor of the state where I own a property in LA. And I'm like, this is insane. Gender-neutral Olympics. Think about it. Women, they've worked out that women would win, I think, 2 medals if they did that in the entire Olympics. And this is supposed to be a woman who wants to run California who thinks she's pro-women.
It's
mad.
It's enough to make you want to see it happen. Like, with all due respect, right? You just want to see it happen one year because that would be the last year we'd see it happen ever, anywhere again. Right? Just to put the lie to it.
I don't think Betty Yee is going to be governor of California.
I don't think so either. No. God willing. I don't think it's going to be Katie Porter either, though I could be wrong. I have to say, I had a lot of thoughts on that Katie Porter thing. I have to say, like, the employee shouldn't have been in the shot. I mean, just to be perfectly honest. But she could have handled that so much differently. She should have come out, instead of being like, I understand and I try to be respectful, but she should have come out and said, like, sometimes I get pissed. I don't get, that reporter was annoying. She was digging at me. I didn't like her. And just to be honest, that's who I am. People would have responded to that.
You know what? People that get caught like that, it's never the first time they've done it, is it? You know what I mean? Yeah. I watched that and thought, she's doing that all day long. Those poor staff. Can you imagine the hell of working for Katie Porter?
Well, who has it
Get
worse?
Out of my shot!
The Katie Porter staff or the Meghan Markle staff?
Yeah.
Who would you rather work for? Katie, right? Or Meghan, because at least you could, like, spy on them and see their weird little life.
Do we have to? We
definitely have to.
There's only one Meghan I can actually still be civil to, and it's the one sitting to my left. The other one.
She's getting back into acting, Piers. I'm sure you saw that. She's shooting a movie now.
She's playing herself in a movie.
Yeah, which is, I guess, acting.
Yeah, look. I'm actually genuinely curious. Are there any fans of Meghan Markle in tonight?
No.
Oh, hang on. There is one lone hand has raised
subversive.
Up here. Actually, that is one more than I expected, I have to be honest.
Do you think she's going to make it in the acting
remember,
world?
I used to do a show called Good Morning Britain in Britain, and I loved that show.
That was a great show.
And in 5 years, we trebled the ratings. It was on fire. Everyone loved it. And then came the Oprah Winfrey Whine-a-thon, as I call it.
You and I were on together the morning after that.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
I had no show. I was sitting in my
Yes.
living room. We took that thing down.
Well, because there were certain things she said in that, and half-wit Harry, her husband. And one of the things they said was that the Archbishop of Canterbury had secretly married them in their back garden 3 days before the wedding on TV. So we did a quick check, because I thought, that can't be right. And we did a quick check. It turns out that had the Archbishop of Canterbury secretly married them in their garden, he would have broken the law and been sent to prison. So I thought, yeah, old Princess Pinocchio is off on a good one
Challenge.
here. And then the rest of it was, all the racism claims turned out to be bullshit. The mental health claims were all of it was bullshit, designed to damage and attack the royal family, the monarchy, and all of it. And it made me puke.
Let's not forget the Oprah performance.
Oh, yeah.
What?
They did what? These people?
What? I mean, how dark your baby was going to be?
It was ridiculous. And you know who they were talking about, by the way, because they accidentally put the names of the alleged racists in I think it was a Danish copy of the book by Omid
Fair,
Scobie,
yeah.
this
Oh,
little
the Omid Scobie.
little rat bag who writes books supporting him. And the two members of the royal family who apparently expressed concern about the skin color of their unborn child were King Charles, Prince Charles at the time, and Catherine, William's wife. Now, how likely do you think it is that either of those two people expressed negative concern about the skin color of an unborn child? Absolutely big fat zero.
Yep.
And yet that was what they told the world in that interview. That's why I thought it was so disgusting. And all right, in the end, I was told that 57,000 people complained to the television regulator, Ofcom, in the UK. A world record, I'm proud to say, complained about me for not believing Princess Pinocchio. So I was then told by my bosses, look, by the way, rule one here, never apologize, never clarify, never do anything.
I can verify that. It doesn't work.
We know this. So we did a clarification the next day, and it made no difference. The complaints kept coming in. And eventually my bosses said, can you just apologize to Meghan Markle, or you're going to have to, maybe lose your job? I went, I'll take the job option, thanks, I'll leave. And I walked off into the sunset.
Right.
Because two things about the woke mob, and she's the high priestess of wokery, and her husband's the high priest, half-wit of wokery. And the truth about it is, never bow to the mob, never grovel, never apologize, never give them an inch. And when you have something that's a point of principle, stand up for yourself and walk the fuck out.
Yes. Amen. Preach. I know you've lived it. I've watched it. She's a bully, and her acting career, or whatever she's trying to do, is going to fail, just like everything else she touched fails.
I thought, didn't you think the Dodgers video clip from their living room,
God,
with her waltzing around?
Yes.
Yes.
Like a hyena.
Literally like a hyena with a spear in its back, wasn't it?
And Harry's face.
The half-wit sat there like he was doped out of his brains, which he probably was. And the whole thing was so cringe, wasn't it?
It was awful.
Terrible.
I really want there to be a season 3, though, of With Love, Megyn. Don't you want to see another? Do you want to see another Maureen Callahan parody? We got to do it. We did a little parody of it. Ours was Fuck Off, Megyn. And I think I can channel her better than she can channel her. I think I'm a much more likable version of her. As I said in the parody, as she's encouraging people to drink more, people tend to like me better when they're intoxicated. And I think that's really been her experience. So I don't think the acting career is going to do it. But the name of the movie is Close Personal Friends. And I thought, how ironic, Piers, because she has none of those. None. Right? I mean, like you see that, like the parade of people who go through her little TV show, and it's all like, oh, this is the person in my closest and dearest friends, and they're sitting there, and she's like, oh, do you have children? That is your best friend.
What was your name again?
It's amazing. All right, but you mentioned British television, how poorly you were treated, and it was disgusting. And like the UK is even woker than we are, and they're very annoying, and they're way more Muslim than we are, radical Muslim, and way more pro-immigrant. It's bad. It's bad. You guys are a canary in the coal mine in a lot of ways for us. But we saw something happen on the BBC this week that made international headlines, and it was absurd. So this woman, this presenter, as you say, was doing a report about various groups who might be affected by some medical policy, and the list should have included pregnant women, but instead this happened. We have the soundbite. Let's watch it.
London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine has released research which says that nearly 600 heat-related deaths are expected in the UK. Malcolm Mystery, who was involved in the research, says that the aged, pregnant people, women, and those with pre-existing health conditions need to take precautions.
Would you believe for that they're trying to give her the Piers Morgan treatment?
They just upheld 20 complaints against her. Imagine who those 20 people are, right?
Yeah.
Just imagine, stuck in their dungeon at home, right, in their joyless, woke dungeon, and decided to complain about a woman presenter being forced to read the words pregnant people. Well, how many times have you seen a pregnant man?
Right.
In your life? How many times do you think you'll see a pregnant man in the rest of your life. Here's a spoiler alert, you won't. There aren't any pregnant men.
Yes.
It is bullshit.
It's so maddening.
But you know the irony, Megyn, the irony, I tell that story in my book, Woke is Dead, about that incident, and I say, wasn't it great that the BBC didn't bow to the mob and actually didn't take any action against her? As my book is published in America now, they come back and they punish her. I mean, you literally couldn't make it up.
Yes, no, I mean, is she going to lose her job over this?
I don't think so, but it's just, I wish every female presenter at the BBC stood up and walked out until they withdrew the ruling against her.
Yeah.
Because no woman should have to be made to read out the words pregnant people.
And it
is actually about it's about the complete disintegration of gendered language that benefits women. You know, we talked about
truth. It's about the disintegration of
mothers
truth.
became birthing people. I mean, what does that mean?
Nothing.
Right?
Nor is chest feeding a thing. That's also a lie.
Chest feeding. Chest feeding. What the fuck is that?
It's also known as child abuse. This poor woman, her sin in that video was not just that she corrected the term pregnant people, but then they said she made a face. She made a face that expressed personal opinion. Meanwhile, the people are all over the BBC expressing opinions, especially on race, like when they watch sporting events and so on. That there's never any discipline. It's only on something.
Hypocrisy. It's a really bad misstep by the BBC. I actually like the BBC. They did a lot of great stuff.
You're
but
the
honestly, but they've grown very woke, and this is an example of why, although I say woke is dead, it's an aspiration. It still pokes its head up, and you've got to rebel it. The reason I think it's dead, the story recently of Graham Linehan, the comedian, Irish
he came
comedian,
on our show.
right? A pretty fearless guy. He winds people up with the way he says stuff. Fair enough. He can be very abrasive, but he's fought a pretty lonely battle on behalf of women's rights against the trans activists, and it's cost him everything. Cost him his marriage, his home, his job, his livelihood. He was the creator of Father Ted, one of the great comedies. And we should give him a round of applause, actually. And
yeah, go Graham.
And you know, not all heroes wear capes, right? They can come in all guises, and he's an unlikely hero, but he became one for me because the other day he comes into Heathrow Airport, and it's the first time he's been back to the UK since he put 2 jokes on his X account in April. And one joke was, to summarize it, was a bit of a lame gag, but is it really that terrible? He talked about a trans woman coming into a woman's changing room, and he said, the best thing to do is kick them in the balls. Now look, some will find that funny, some will think it's a bit over the top. All right, if you go to any comedy club in the world, you'll hear jokes like that every 10 seconds. That was the joke. It sat there on his X account. People either laughed or didn't laugh, as we've done tonight. When he came into Heathrow 3-4 weeks ago, 5 armed police officers were waiting to arrest him and take him to the cells for his joke. 5 armed police. And in that moment, I realized my country, which was, Winston Churchill fought World War II with the help of the Americans, before you all remind me, and thank you. Thank you.
We're pretty proud of that.
Thank you. No, genuinely thank you. It was a great team effort. We repelled them together. It was great. But that war was fought to save us from the Nazis, who would have killed free speech in a second. What are we doing in the United Kingdom? Mm-hmm. And several hundred people have been arrested for tweets and social media posts in the last couple of years. It is completely ridiculous. You cannot have a free democratic society if you don't aggressively defend freedom of speech and freedom of expression. It is the cornerstone of a democracy.
Obviously we love our First Amendment, and I know you and many other Brits are jealous of it. I mean, the First Amendment is being eroded day by day, even here, but at least we have it. It's a very important principle of how we live the way we do. I think the woke mind virus is uniquely tied to a deep unhappiness. You never meet a super happy woke person.
They're joyless.
Right, utterly joyless. And that brings
They never laugh at any jokes. Have you noticed?
Yeah, that's true.
Nothing is ever funny.
Well,
no book is ever a good read. They're all toxic. Every movie is toxic. Everything, clothing you wear at Halloween is toxic.
And they are toxic.
They themselves are the toxic ones.
They become toxic. So they're always deeply unhappy, which brings me, of course, to Michelle Obama. Again, to quote Stephen L. Miller, Red Steez on X, I regret to inform you we've disappointed the Obamas again. She's been out there promoting her new fashion book. I know all you ladies look up to Michelle Obama as a fashion icon, do you not? Anna Wintour told us she is. Hello. She was on the cover of Vogue 4 times. Melania Trump, 0. Okay, not as first lady anyway. When she was an actual supermodel and married Trump, they gave her one. In any event, so Michelle Obama's been doing a book tour to promote her fashion book. And the latest, she's been making all sorts of news for the wrong reasons. And the latest bit that she offered was how tough it was to be first lady because of the hair, makeup, and wardrobe team she had to deal with. Here's just a little sampling of what she's been saying.
The job of First Lady is an interesting job, non-job. You know, it doesn't come with a real salary or job description. No one technically elected the first spouse, I'll say. We've only had First Ladies. You're supposed to be aspirational, but representational, reachable, approachable. You know, you're supposed to be feminine, but not too sexy. Barack wears the same suit, changes his tie, buttons up. You know, his decision, or a man's decision, is, do I go with a striped shirt or a plain white shirt?
Yes.
Do I go with a red tie or blue tie? If the day is long and there are a lot of events, which was always a challenge for me with Barack, if we'd go from Air Force One to a hike to a fundraiser, what do I wear?
Hold on. Stand by. There's another one. SOT 3. Stand by.
I was accused of being angry. That it was shocking to me. Yeah. Well, I didn't really have that choice as First Lady.
Of course,
right?
Yeah.
Every day, every time I was up, as we called it, you know, I was up for the public.
Yes.
And the days were long. So, as you mentioned, to save time.
Yes.
You know, I know having a glam team, a trifecta, it feels like a luxury, but it was a time necessity.
Yes.
There's absolutely no way that I would be able to do my hair and makeup and have clothes ready that fit, you know, because rare is the woman that can live off the rack.
Right? No one can live off the rack. I'm sorry, but you have to subject yourself to the burdens of a hair, makeup, and wardrobe team.
By the way, how rich have they become since they left office? I mean, this is the deal,
Hundreds
right?
of millions.
They serve their country on a not insignificant sum of money. I think it's about $400,000 a year, the president gets. And they live in unparalleled luxury the entire time they're in office. And when they leave, they make hundreds of millions, if not billions, of dollars. Has anyone got a tiny violin for me that I can start playing here?
Yes. And
ridiculous!
Not for nothing, but did you see that hideous outfit she was wearing? I'm sorry.
That's what having too much money does for you.
I've just never met somebody so ungrateful in all my life. And what did she start it off with? People said I was hateful. Because you are. She can't stand America. She definitely can't stand Barack. And I don't think she likes herself very much either. So she's been doing this nonstop tour, and I just think there's a strain. She's woke, he's woke. Yeah. There's a strain in the woke that leads you to be absolutely miserable, which is why they too should be praying for woke to die.
And it's why I know this audience is not woke, because you seem so happy.
Yes.
Look at me, look.
Totally
genuinely
joyful.
happy people. Or it may be, having come from England recently where it was pouring with rain and freezing cold, as it is for about 8 months of the year, it may just be because of the weather.
Yeah, go
it
Miami.
May be. The Florida weather.
Enjoy it while you're here.
I will.
Thank you, Piers Morgan.
My pleasure.
I love you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're amazing. Such a great guy. Love the Brits. Save Great Britain. Say a prayer for them. They're in a rough spot, too. They had a preview of Mamdani over there. You know all those fad diets. Half of Americans do it. And if you do it enough, you could be at risk of diabetes, liver damage, heart attack, and stroke. Weight cycling is when you lose 10 or more pounds, but then you put the pounds back plus a couple more. That puts tremendous strain on your organs and leads to serious health issues. Bottom line, most people need help to stop weight cycling. And this is why I want to tell you about non-prescription Lean, created by doctors. Lean is an oral supplement, not a GLP-1 injectable. It uses studied ingredients, which Lean says target weight loss in 3 powerful ways: maintaining healthy blood sugar, helping control appetite and cravings, and burning fat by converting it to energy. And burning fat helps keep the weight off. If you want to lose meaningful weight at a healthy pace and keep it off, consider adding Lean to your diet and exercise lifestyle. Get 20% off when you enter MK at takelean.com. That's code MK at takelean.com. It's the one time of year that Birch Gold Group gives away free gold with every qualifying purchase. That's right, for Black Friday, when you convert an existing IRA or 401k in whole or in part into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold, Birch Gold will send free gold to your home for every $20,000 purchased. Gold started this year around $2,600 an ounce. By October, it was over $4,000 an ounce. Why? Global uncertainty. 2025 has been defined by trade wars. Central banks are pulling from the US dollar as the global reserve currency, and military tension continues to build. Gold thrives in times of uncertainty, and if you are looking to diversify your savings, Birch Gold can help you. Plus, now through November 30th, get free gold with a qualifying purchase. Just text MK to the number 989898 to claim your eligibility and for our free info kit on gold. But your opportunity for free gold with purchase will end on November 30th. So don't wait. Text MK to the number 989898 for full details. Message and data rates may apply. Speaking politics, my next guest barely needs an introduction. He is a very, very well-known Trump. He's not the best-known Trump, but he's a very, very well-known Trump. And I would say, knowing most of the Trumps, I think Eric is the most dignified Trump in many ways. He holds himself with a certain class, a certain elegance, a certain gentlemanliness, and he's just as pugilistic as his brother and his father. He can give just as good as he gets, but he's one of the nicest Trumps, too. He's a sweet guy. And even when his father and I were not getting along, he would come on my show. He was always kind to me. His dad would send him out there because he knew he was probably a Trump who could really win me over, and he was not wrong about that. Eric Trump did exactly that. And I think it's no accident, if you know Eric, why Don Sr. has Eric running the Trump Organization, right? He's got a head for business, and he's got an affable personality, but he has fought with the best of them. He and his brother Don are the most subpoenaed men in the United States. He has a #1 best-selling book right now called Under Siege, which is an amazing read, but it's also a deeply disturbing one, because what's been done to them, and the fact that Eric Trump can still be an affable, gentlemanly, nice guy, notwithstanding what the Biden administration put them through and the Obama administration too, is a testament to his good character and good genes. So Eric is now in a position where he has a great wife. He's got a great family, right? Lara Trump, let's hear for her. He's got a great family, and he too has an aptitude for the political world. So could he be the person who gives us Trump on the ballot when the elder can no longer run? We'll ask him in a minute, but first, take a look at this ditty. Trump was king of the world before he was president of the United States, and you had a front row seat.
They were the ultimate power couple in the world. My mom was an amazing woman. Man, was she tough.
If I did need something out of the man, I would know my way. I would get it.
We got out of line as a kid. She would grab you by the neck, her long fake nails, they go into your neck, and it was the best thing that ever happened to us.
Little did you know that you were going to need that tough skin in more ways than one.
He called me and he goes, honey, get the kids. So I bring up Ivanka and Don, and he looks at us and he goes, kids, I'm going to do this.
We need somebody that literally will take this country and make it great again.
We hardly knew what a delegate was. We hardly knew what a caucus was. We didn't know a damn thing about politics. In fact, you come into the story.
Eric Trump is here, the Republican candidate's son.
And he's like, I need somebody who's going to defend me on the show tonight. He wants to put America first, right? There's 100 million people in this country that are out of work. Yet people are coming over the border unchecked every single day, and it's just not right. And I mean, if you want to talk about faking it until you make it, like I think that was my first experience in politics with you, Megyn. I mean, we are really going to win in Cleveland. There's just no question about it. He said, you know what? We're going to find out who our true friends are, and they are going to come after us so viciously, you have no idea. I became the piñata. I was getting a subpoena every single day. $400 million defending from just totally insane attacks. Guys, this is a political witch hunt. This is the hell that they put us through, Megyn.
The home of former President Trump searched by FBI agents.
If there's ever a siege, I mean, that was a literal siege of our home. When they took his passports, they went through Melania's closet, they went through Barron's room, they were unrelenting. Her whole platform that she raised money on was, I'm gonna go after Donald Trump, I'm gonna get his family, I'm gonna force them out of New York. You know, and it's a travesty. I mean, I remember when they read off those 34 felony convictions and we were in the car, he said, honey, I don't know how. It was the lowest moment of all of them, right? I don't know how, but somehow we're gonna win this. And he didn't just mean the court case, he meant the entire presidency. And I looked at him, I go, Dad, it's either the White House or it's 2 jail cells for us. Because that's what they wanted.
Wow. Eric Trump, everyone. Woo-hoo! Such a great guy.
So I'm the nicest Trump.
I think so. You might be.
You know what? I think Tiffany's the nicest Trump, actually.
She might be, yeah. Well, of the male Trumps. We don't know Barron as well.
Yeah, well, Don's kind of a jerk, right? My father's pretty tough. It's
You're all fighters.
and Barron's young, right? He's not like old enough to be a jerk and get away with it, right? Like you'd really, if you were a jerk at 18 years old, you're just kind of like you're like pompous and like a prick,
well,
right?
Barron's the quietest Trump. We don't know him as well.
You know, he's a little shy.
Yeah.
But yet Barron's smart as hell. And he's got a. Do you remember that whole controversy where he went up to Biden, right?
Yes.
And they had all these like lip reading experts, and they just and they're like, Barron just told Biden to go F himself. I'm like, so one night, I'm very close to Barron. I love Barron to death, right? One night I call Barron, I go, buddy, like, what did you actually say? And he goes, it was something so polite, I almost wouldn't even get it right, but like, congratulations and, best of luck to you, or something like that, something very respectful. And I said that. Patrick Bet David, I was on his show. Yeah. And he goes, did Barron really tell Biden to go F himself? I'm like, he just doesn't have that in him. Like, he's a nice guy. He's probably thinking it. He definitely has it up here, but like, he's too courteous to actually go out there and say it. But Barron's a really nice kid.
But it's so typical of the media to just assume the worst about every Trump, right? They cannot see your family clearly at all, even after all these years.
No, they can't, nor did they want to, all right? I mean, they probably could. You go back to the NBC days, right? My father had the #1 show on The Apprentice. Everybody saw it. Did anybody here watch The Apprentice?
Our last guest won it.
So this was 14 seasons. I was on the last 7 seasons, all those Celebrity Apprentice seasons. NBC absolutely adored us. NBC was dying at that time. CBS was winning everything. NBC adored my father because he's the only thing that was keeping that channel alive. And guess what? My father went down the escalator, that golden escalator, and instantaneously, like this, guys, they turned on him like he was a dog, like they had never met him before. So it's not that they can't see who you are, it's that they choose not to, right? Out of their own political animus, out of their, kind of corporate motivations. So they know my father's a good person. They just couldn't get around to ever acknowledging he was a good person because it just didn't fit their mantra. Now, my father was a Democrat. You better believe that they would have absolutely loved him, right? Chuck Schumer was the same way. Chuck Schumer loved my father. Hillary Clinton loved my father, went to his wedding. The second he went down that escalator, he was, a no-good son of a you-know-what.
Did Nancy Pelosi ever love him?
Does anybody in this room like Nancy Pelosi? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. What's that? She does. By the way, I live in Jupiter, Florida. She has a house right next to me. Oh, wow. We've got some Jupiter people here. I love it.
Wow. Go Jupiter.
By the way, guys, moving to the great state of Florida was single-handedly the best thing that I've ever done in my life. I actually call it fleeing communism. So, and by the way, I said that before Mandami. Now you're really fleeing
Now you're
communism.
actually fleeing
You're actually
communism.
fleeing communism.
So Nancy Pelosi had some thoughts that she shared recently on your dad. And you know, there's a lot of bad guys in the world. I mean, there's genuinely bad guys out in the world. But to hear Nancy Pelosi tell it, there's only one who really, really stands out. Take a listen to this.
He's just a vile creature. The worst thing on the face of the earth. But anyway.
You think he's the worst thing on the face of the earth?
I do, yeah. I do.
Why is that?
Because he's the President of the United States and he does not honor the Constitution of the United States. In fact, he's turned the Supreme Court into a rogue court. He's abolished the House of Representatives.
Yes? Get a drink. He abolished the House of Representatives?
By the way,
The
she was
worst
usually
ever.
drunk, but I mean, did she just like win the Masters? Do you see that jacket that she was wearing, the bright green jacket?
Another
it's
fashion icon.
You know, it's really amazing. Paul Pelosi makes, Warren Buffett look like a mediocre investor based on his returns. Isn't it really interesting
100%.
that, like, the single greatest stock picker of all time was Nancy Pelosi? Everybody, they have all these websites that follow, they're like indices that follow the politicians on all their, their stock buys, trades, shorts. I mean, she's up like 80% a year over year, every year. Isn't it really interesting that, like, right before a big company gets indicted, she drops the stock, she shorts the stock, then 3 days later, before some, legislation goes through, she's buying it. I mean, this is like the epitome of corruption. And by the way, then she was the one that was bitching at me when I would have a guest go into Trump International Hotel Doral, buy a margarita at the bar, and she was saying that we were profiting off of the presidency, literally a hotel that we had 20 years before my father even decided to run, and yet
it's unbelievable.
It's the hypocrisy is nothing short of
But
amazing.
she's retiring now. They say she's retiring. She's not going to run again, even though she's a spry 85 years old.
But like, who replaces her? Like Hakeem Jeffries, AOC? I mean, this is what they have
It's
on the other
going to be the nightmare Scott Wiener. That guy, you guys may know him even though you don't know him. He's this far left, trans, all the children, Democrat politician out in San Francisco. He is literally the worst on the issue of trans. And the report is that she felt threatened by him. She didn't actually think that she could beat him, which is why she's going to step down. But honestly, if you could find somebody worse than Nancy Pelosi, I think they did. This is my least favorite politician in America, that Wiener guy. Honestly, like, he's my number one least favorite guy, and that's who they think is a suitable replacement.
By the way, I mean, think about that last name. What is it, Wiener? What did you say?
It's Wiener.
By the way, they also had Anthony Weiner, which was Huma Abedin's ex-husband. Did anybody ever see that documentary on Netflix? It was actually called Wiener. It was hysterical.
It was very good.
It's like must-watch TV if you've never seen. By the way, this is the problem with the Democrat Party. And like, if not that Megyn and I should be giving the Democrats any advice, but like, how about you just be like quasi-normal and you might actually do okay? You lost all of this country when you thought it was okay for 6'5" men who weigh 210 pounds like me to swim against, daughters in collegiate, NCAA sports. Like, how about you not go that fringe? You lost the entire country when you thought it was okay for men to change in young girls' locker rooms. Like, at what point do they step back and realize that their policies are hated on behalf of everybody? And that's why my father had the greatest political victory in history, despite what Kamala says, by the way.
Yeah. Tightest race ever.
I don't know. I think Al Gore would probably disagree with that. The 537 votes in the state of Florida, right? I think Al Gore would probably disagree with the fact that it was the tightest race. But, listen, we won the popular vote. We won every swing state. Every state in the country went to the right. We won Miami-Dade. This county right here hadn't been won by a conservative. 37 years, guys, hadn't been won by a conservative, and my father won it by 11 points. Guys, this wasn't like a minor victory. This was like an ass-kicking, like a serious ass-kicking. And so you would think that they would start to learn. And now it's like the most fun thing for me, because I rarely stand on the stage anymore. I just kind of retired from politics. It's actually a lot of fun to be back. But I called him the other night and I said, you're doing so great. You're throwing so much damn lead in the air that they don't know what to do with it. Like, they can't catch it all, right? And by the way, he's having the most fun. Like, he's tweaking their minds right now. Somebody asked him, like a reporter the other day asked him, do you think it's okay for trans people to have guns? And are you going to remove their ability to own guns? And he goes, I'm gonna consider that. And then all the Democrats 2 minutes later all Americans have the right to own firearms. They have a And I go, you got the Democrats to defend gun rights by one simple statement because you like goaded them into it. It's the
That's
coolest
amazing.
freaking thing in the world.
Okay, but here's what we're worried about. We know Trump can win. That's been proven time and time again. But can Republicans win without daddy on the ticket? And I don't just mean your daddy. The Republicans look at him that way. And this past week's election is really scary because we're not going to have Trump for too much longer.
Well, is it scary or is it not scary? Did I ever think that we were going to win New York City? Hey, guys, guess where every conservative New Yorker lives? Right? Like, is that a great shock to me? Yeah. And by the way, everybody says that Mondami's, not a good politician. No. Make no mistake about it. Mondami's a very good politician. He just goes around promising everybody free crap, right? And that's why they vote for this guy. And does it surprise anybody that we didn't win the People's Republic of New Jersey? Like, it certainly didn't surprise me. And yet, but it's like the trap that Republicans, and hey, you know this better than anybody, it's the trap that Republicans fall into every single time. It's like, we're going to win New Jersey. It's like, I don't know, guys, we probably won't win New Jersey. I'm not going to lie to you, right? Like, we'll pick up a lot of other victories, but we probably won't win New Jersey, especially when you have areas that are certainly rigged. And guys, is there anybody in here, by the way, that doesn't think that the 2020 election wasn't rigged? So I said that to my father the other day. He puts out that tweet, right? You should go ask Barack Obama whether or not he really believes that Joe Biden got 16 million more votes than he did in 2012. And say what you will, like Obama's a charismatic guy, he was a charming guy, right? He was an inspirational guy. You might not like him, but he was at the time, whereas Biden was hanging out in his basement. But I just think Republicans go down this, Biden was literally hanging out, like, I would do campaign events across the street for Biden. He couldn't fill the social distancing circles, and we'd have 2,000 people at every single one of our events. So I will never, ever, ever believe that Joe Biden won the election in 2020. At the same time, I think it was the best thing that ever happened to us that we had the little timeout. But Republicans do have to stop going down the rabbit hole of thinking that we're going to win cities like New York, and then they put all their stock into it, and then when we don't win New York because we have a bad candidate and we have no candidate really, and then all of a sudden the media comes out and kills us saying, see, you didn't win and you promised us you were going to win. It's like, it's a really bad strategy the Republicans have, and I think we got to stop it.
But what does it say that a communist won? I mean, like, there's going left, like Bill de Blasio left, and then there's going Mamdani.
Well, listen, I mean, it's shocking to me. It's one of the reasons I left New York, by the way, but it's totally shocking to me. I mean, this is a guy who promised to defund the NYPD, so he hates cops. He hates the Jews, right? I mean, he came out and said Netanyahu was he's a criminal and he's going to arrest him if he ever comes into New York. He hates the Indian population. He literally says that Modi's a war criminal. He wants to nationalize grocery stores. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by, 12%? Guess what? You're just going to see a lot more people come down to New York. I mean, other than that, and by the way, he wants to empty all jails. He doesn't believe in the concept of having jails for a city. Other than that, he's a wonderful human being. I don't know how people can vote for this guy. I really don't. And listen, you lived in New York. I lived in New York. We spent a lot of time in New York together, right? You were there for years. I was there for years. And all you need to do in New York is very simple: clean streets, safe streets, reasonable taxes. I'm not saying you need to go down to zero, but do North Carolina style taxes where you charge 4% or something along those lines. Knock out the city tax, knock out the state tax. And honestly, New York would be pretty unstoppable if you had that recipe. But yet, these guys create this petri dish, and it always has to be another social experiment. And that social experiment's not working, and it's devastating because I truly love everything that New York stands for, and they just routinely screw it up.
Who are you hoping for in 2028 on both sides?
Wait, on both sides?
Yeah.
I'm not hoping for anybody on one side, how much I can tell you. You know what, guys? We have a different breed of fighter now. What we do, we've all found our voices. And I mean this sincerely. Go back to 2016. Who was the voice of the Republican Party other than my father? It sure as hell wasn't Jeb Bush, right? I mean,
Jeb.
Look. Well,
exclamation point.
But by the RNC, he was literally the anointed one, right? I mean, he got into the race. He blew $300 million before South Carolina in 2016. That's more than we used to win the entire race, including beating Hillary Clinton. So he wasn't the voice. Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney wasn't. Ben Sasse the voice of the Republic? Of course not, right? Like, we didn't have a good Republican Party, and all of a sudden my father goes out there and he's totally politically incorrect, and totally politically incorrect. I think you would agree with that. He was totally politically, and all of a sudden he created this kind of class of fighters, and now people have backbone, and now we all have our voices, and
Quick question on that, Eric. Because Trump got more earned media coverage than anybody. He would say something crazy, and then every single media outlet would cover it for days, and then he'd say something else, and then they cover that, and so on. And so, he just dominated all of the media nonstop, which is what made him even bigger in his stardom.
We had to do that, guys.
Well, so that's the question. Was it a tactic, or is it just your dad? It's just who he is.
Oh, no, it was 100%. It was 100% a tactic, right? I mean, first of all, it's his personality, and you can't fake personality, but it's his personality. But, Hillary raised $1.5 billion. My father pretty much funded his entire campaign, at least until the general election. We self-funded the campaign. You can't beat $1.5 billion worth of media spend, including an entire mainstream media who's in your pocket and hated our guts. I mean, we had 98% negative media coverage in 2016. We still do, to tell you the truth, right? Yeah. Other than the fact that the mainstream media is dead now, thank God.
Yes. Amen. You're here.
But no, honestly, and it's the greatest thing. I mean, look how many people will be watching this, right? Look how many people watch Megyn's podcast, and then go look at Caitlin Collins on CNN on a Wednesday night. So she's got primetime TV. She's got these big studios in Atlanta, these big studios in DC. AOL Time Warner Center in New York City. They've got thousands of employees, the most expensive studios you've ever seen, and you will blow her ratings out of the water. It's not even close. I mean. Yeah. My wife, does anybody like Laura Trump in here? She really likes Laura. Holy shit, that was really good. So 9 o'clock and Megyn will tell you this because there's no one that knows Fox better. 9 o'clock on Saturday night is what they call Death Valley, right? It's like, but they try and put a good person in there who can actually drive ratings because it's the hardest time of the week. She's getting 2 million plus people at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. And Caitlin Collins on CNN in the same time slot. I'm not trying to pick on Caitlin. I actually have a nice relationship with her, but she's getting 300,000 to 400,000 people. What does that tell you about our country? And yet you look at Megyn's podcast. You look at you look at Joe Rogan. I mean, you guys, they can do these off of iPhones, 2 iPhones, and an interesting guest, and all of a sudden they're beating the biggest kind of political apparatuses in the world with brand names who spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in production costs, and they're failing because no one likes the message that they're putting out there. So I think independent voice in this country has totally changed, and it's a big difference between 2024 and 2016. Guys, 2016, you couldn't fight against the media. It was very, very tough, and that's why you had to go do those rallies. 2024, I almost feel like, CBS and NBC and ABC, I almost feel like they're irrelevant at this point.
Yeah, same. No, it's amazing. We have many months where just our show's YouTube will beat all of CNN's YouTube. Every single show up and down the network with ease. All collective. Cannot match the YouTube numbers.
What's your production cost versus theirs?
Oh my God, a teeny tiny fraction. Yeah, I remember when Anderson Cooper was doing the 8 and I was doing the 9 at Fox, we had 12 staffers. He had 100 staffers to do that show that never had any ratings for one show. So CNN is always too bloated and too boring and now too biased to last, and all of that's catching up with them.
And the interesting thing, so I was on Chris Cuomo a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure if anybody saw this interview, but it got a little explosive. And I actually, again, I have a fine relationship with Chris. I'm not trying to, but I'm sitting there, and he goes over to News Nation. He's trying to be this kind of moderate, down the line, and so I come out with this book, Under Siege, right? It hit number 1.
Yeah, and stayed there.
By the way, it hit number 1 by a lot, right? Number 1 New York Times, and New York Times did not want to make Eric Trump number 1. This much I can tell you. And Chris Cuomo asked a question that was something along the lines of, do you really believe that there was weaponization of government, toward your family?
Oh my God.
Do you really believe in weapons? And I go, Chris, the same freaking people who are coming after us, Letitia James, threw your brother out of the governor's office like he was a dog and then threw you off of CNN, and you're trying to argue with me that there isn't weaponization of government? The point is, it's almost like they can't get this crap out of their DNA. They just can't, it hits them. It's hitting them personally. It's not working. The recipe's not working. If you're a business person and something's not working, you try something new. You change course. And yet, despite how bad it's been for them, despite the ratings, despite all of them getting fired, despite all of them getting massive pay cuts, they still just can't get there. And it is so hugely ironic to me that they're like the last people to smell the trends of this country and see that people no longer like them and they can't even morph their positions. And it's just, it really boggles my mind.
Yeah, but we're slowly but surely getting, like, everybody's having that truth bomb come over them, from the Sydney Sweeney moment of, like,
who is that?
Right? I'm just not going to play this game. Like, I'm just not. To, like I mentioned earlier, Jennifer Lawrence saying, I'm not going to talk about my political opinions anymore. And just, you're starting to see a little sign here and there of mainstream media trying to be slightly more objective. Like, I watched the 60 Minutes with Your Dad interview with Norah O'Donnell on Sunday, and she definitely doesn't like him. However, she did try, you could see she tried at least to do like the doe-eyed, like, but what about the people who are being arrested in the street and thrown out by Tom Homan? And she's doing that because she's afraid of Barry Weiss, who is trying to bring some more fair and balanced news over to CBS. But so it's interesting because to me, I'm like, this is great. I'm really enjoying the self-flagellation. Like, they're never going to make it. But it has no chance. Like, it's too late. They're dead. It's like, you cannot revive this patient.
Well, I mean, listen, look at 60 Minutes. Look at their track record. The last time my father was on 60 Minutes was with Leslie Stahl. He goes, Leslie, they're spying on my campaign. Donald, there is no proof of this. Right now, she's asking Joe Biden what kind of ice cream he likes, right? And, practically, they're spying on my campaign. There is no proof of this, Donald. We just can't verify this, so we can't publish. We're 60 Minutes. It's very, like, highbrow.
The laptop couldn't be verified, she said. Can't be verified.
The laptop can't be verified. There's just nothing to be verified about this. And then sure enough, so that was the last time. He embarrassed her because everybody knows that they were actually spying on the campaign, and everybody knows that the laptop was a laptop from hell, and it wasn't Russian disinformation, and that whole thing was a sham. And then fast forward to Kamala going on there. They ask her a question about Israel. She is incoherent. She is incapable of answering a question. It's some massive word salad of just muck, of nothing. And then they edit this whole thing to make her quasi-sound intelligent. She still doesn't sound intelligent. But 60 Minutes was stupid enough that they ran the original answer in a promo, and they ran the edited answer in the actual 60-minute segment. And somebody in the public was like, wait a second, the same question was answered two different ways. So he sued the hell out of 60 Minutes. He made a fortune off of the thing because they ended up settling in a massive way.
By the way, how nice is the Trump library going to be at this point?
What, the victory?
The Trump library is going to be the best library ever because he keeps putting these settlements toward the Trump librade.
Well, can I tell you about the Trump library? Are we allowed to go off script a little bit?
Yeah,
Not that there is a script.
No, yeah, go for it.
So the Trump library is going to be about 1 mile away from here, where we're sitting right now.
Lucky you.
And who do you think's in charge of the Trump library?
Nice.
Guys, this is the most spectacular freaking building you've ever seen in your entire life, and I think everybody knows in here we build good buildings. So
it doesn't look like the Obama big garbage bin that we're seeing in Chicago.
So I'm really glad Megyn brought up the Obama. Have you ever seen them? They go around the neighborhood, and they're asking guys, like, "What do you think of the library?" And they're like, "Man, that thing looks like a jail. That thing does not look good." Right?
It's awful.
And by the way, the great irony is they're like billions of dollars over budget, hundreds of millions of dollars over budget. It practically looks like nothing's happening there. And Barack Hussein Obama is getting sued every single day for discrimination. Like the great irony that I'm like, what the money's escaping to everybody, it seems like. I mean, the reports are awful. I can tell you the building that I'm going to build for my father, and I'm doing it as a passion project. I get nothing, not a penny will go missing. The thing will get done ahead of time, under budget. And I can promise you it will be the most spectacular structure in the country, certainly in Miami, but in all of the country, and I can't wait to show people the renderings. Outside my office, there's only one person that's seen the renderings, and that's my father. And I can tell you guys, it's really something special.
Please tell me there's going to be a McDonald's in it.
By the way, it's a great idea. So I was on Benny Johnson, who's a friend of Megan's as well, I think, right? You and Benny are pretty. And he goes, Eric, please tell me that there's going to be a whole wing dedicated to fake news. And I go, Benny, that's freaking genius, 100%. So we're going to do like a fake news
wing.
Yeah,
so that's so good.
It's going to be pretty awesome.
That's really good. Now, when I saw Don joined me in Texas on the first leg of the tour, Don Jr., he told me a story behind the scenes about eating at the White House, like going to dine with your dad at the White House, and what your dad will typically order up, like what he likes to serve himself mostly. And I'm just wondering, without you and I haven't spoken about this, whether you've had any similar experiences where you go to dine at the White House and what your dad likes to eat.
Oh God. Well, I mean, he's a creature of habit, right? He's like, I mean, my father's like the quintessential meat and potatoes guy. And yeah, he's like, it's funny, I had both sides of this in my life. I had my mom who was like, you know, the glamorous European, you know, knew every street in Europe. And then I had my father on the opposite side who was just like that meat and potatoes type. And I'm definitely the meat and potatoes type guy too. But, you know, Donald Trump loves a great cheeseburger. Donald Trump loves a great steak. Donald Trump loves good vanilla Haagen-Dazs ice cream. You know, like that's he loves good fries. Like that's, you know, he loves bacon. He's an all-American guy. And by the way, who likes me and who likes Don? Let's hear it from me.
Yes. So.
And Don?
Oh no, poor Don. No, we love Don.
We love Don.
So
Don's one of my closest friends in the world.
You will laugh because he told me, I don't think he minded me repeating this, Trump is really enjoying the full Thanksgiving dinner served as just a regular meal at the White House.
I'll take stuffing,
yeah,
please.
like the turkey and the stuffing and the cranberry sauce and the whole bit, which sounds like such a great idea.
But we never do it. He's like Donald Trump's bringing Thanksgiving to.
Yes.
You know all these restaurants
and your brother's enjoying it.
that brought like breakfast to like dinner. Donald Trump's bringing Thanksgiving to just, you know, to March. It's kind of cool. I like this. He might be onto something, Megyn.
One of the things you revealed in your book, and I didn't spoil it when you were on my show because I wanted people to buy the book, but now we can tell them, is your Secret Service names.
So, so you somewhat get to choose these, and then some of them are also kind of chosen for you. So, you know, I'm marksman because I love the Second Amendment. I love shooting. Do we have any Second Amendment lovers in here? You know, the good thing about Florida, guys, is no one's running out of ammo. No one's running out. We don't run out of ammo in Florida. My wife Laura, she's marathon because she loves running. Ivanka is Muse. Tiffany is Marvel. I could go on, but who am I missing? My father. What the hell is Baron?
What's your dad?
I forget what Baron is. Mogul. My father's Mogul.
Yeah, that works. Did they all have to be M's?
Yeah, they're all M's. They're all M's, and these are wide. I don't actually think Barron's is published yet, so I think that's why. Maybe because he was underage.
Okay.
But so that's why he left him out.
Is this your current Secret Service name? Like you're allowed to tell us that without having us killed?
I think so.
Okay.
Either that or I just pissed off the guys backstage.
Yeah,
so sorry guys if I pissed you off. It wouldn't be the first time, by the way.
We'll find out.
I have to say the Secret Service, they're the greatest people you'll ever meet in your entire life, and honestly, you know, I love them to death, and you spend a lot of time with people over the course of 4 years, and I can tell you how many people from my first detail are dear friends of mine to this day, and how much I respect the agency, and they didn't always have the greatest leadership, and you know they're too professional to ever say that. I think Kimberly Cheadle was an absolute joke, and she shouldn't have been in the job. But the men and women on the front line of the Secret Service are the greatest people in the world, and I.
What about it, Eric? Like, we talked about this a little bit, but I know you still have questions about Butler, and we all still have questions about Butler. Like, why do we know so little about the shooter?
Yeah, no, guys, it's definitely a question I have, and it's definitely a question that's bothered me and frankly pisses me off. I mean, we're getting a little deep, but here's what I'll tell you. I love Kash Patel, and I love Dan Bongino. They're phenomenal human beings. And unlike the last group of characters, these two would not hide anything. They just would not. They would not hide anything about that situation. They would not hide anything about the Charlie Kirk situation. I saw all the conspiracy theories on the Charlie Kirk situation. They're just too good of people, right? And they were all friends with Charlie and everything else. But no, I don't like it at all. I talk about that a lot in the book. I don't like the lack of answers. I don't like the fact that we've seen one picture of this kid. He looks like a prepubescent 14-year-old. No, it's bothered me, you know, every day since.
Do you think there's a chance that he was co-opted by somebody and coaxed into it?
Honestly, I think it would have come out if he would have been, to tell you the truth. Listen, who the hell knows, right? I have serious questions when, you know, we haven't published the phones. They broke into the phones of every January 6th protester, but they can't get into this kid's phone. Every grandmother that walked the halls of the Capitol and took a selfie, they got into their phones and they didn't get to this guy's phones. I can only tell you as a son, you know, when you see your father get shot in the face, when you see an ear come off, especially as somebody that's as protective as I am, and also as a guy who's pretty much been a competitive shooter my entire life. 130-yard shot is a chip shot, guys. It's like Tiger Woods missing a 4-inch putt with a competent shooter with a modern rifle with modern-day optics. My 7-year-old son will make that shot every single day, so you can only imagine how infuriating it is for somebody like me. And I find it interesting that we've seen one picture of this kid, and again, he looks like he's a baby. It's like it's this innocent little picture, and he wasn't. This guy was an absolute animal. So I think we're all happy the guy's no longer around, and they handled the situation brilliantly. But I can tell you how pissed off I am, and I think a lot of this country is still pissed off about that situation.
Yeah, I mean, the whole world would have changed in that moment if he hadn't turned his head. How has Charlie's death changed things for you? I'm sure your security footprint got tighter, but how has it changed for you too, just as a man?
So I'm going to say something that's very kind of un-PC to say, right? In terms of security. Guys, listen, if somebody wants to get you, they're probably going to get to you. I hate to say that, right? And Secret Service probably freaks out if I say something like that, but it's just the reality. And what they wanted by taking out Charlie was they wanted us all to hide. They wanted us to go inside. They wanted us off of that stage. I mean, Megyn, you remember this? I saw some like baby, videos of me up there, and you and I in Fox. But I mean, I spent years of my life going through every single swing state in the country. I'd grab a bullhorn. I'd hop on top of a John Deere tractor, literally on the right, and you'd have 500 people or 1,000 people on a field, right? And that's the only way we were able to win against Hillary and against that machine, was having a loud voice and just getting out there and wearing through shoes and speaking to every person we possibly could and doing it authentically and from the heart. You don't think by putting a bullet in Charlie they wanted to put us all underground? Of course they did. They didn't want my voice on the stage. They sure as hell don't want her voice on the stage. You think they want my father's voice on the stage? They didn't want Charlie's voice on the stage. They did everything they could to kill us. And literally and figuratively, that's what Under Siege is about, right? I mean, I never got a speeding ticket, and I became the most subpoenaed person in the history of this country. 112 subpoenas from Pocahontas and everybody else, right? And, the impeachment 1, impeachment 2, the Russia hoax, where they're making up dirty dossiers about, excuse me, I apologize because this is crude, but prostitution and golden and all this stuff that was not true. Hillary was paying for it. And then the calls from the FBI, Eric, I hear you have secret servers in the basement of Trump Tower that are communicating with the Kremlin. It was lies. And then throwing you off of Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and taking you off the ballots in states, and the 91 indictments and the mugshots and the raids of Mar-a-Lago, and I mean everything else that they did to silence our voice, keeping us in courtroom after courtroom every single day. Guys, they wanted us arrested. They wanted us in jail cells, even having done nothing wrong. We've got every single one of those convictions overturned. But they wanted my father in prison. They wanted him voiceless. They wanted him bankrupt. They wanted our family totally dysfunctional. And when none of that worked, you better damn believe they wanted him dead, no different than they wanted Charlie Kirk dead. And I'm sure if they had the chance, they probably wouldn't want me on the stage either. This was their tactic because they lost the argument. They lost the narrative, and so guess what they do? They label us the whole time, Megyn, right? You're sexist. Well, that's kind of funny considering Kellyanne Conway, our first campaign manager, was a female, and then Susie Wiles, our second campaign manager, was a female. The first 2 female campaign managers ever to win presidential elections, but yet my father is sexist. And then, you must be xenophobic, and you must be, anti-Semitic. Well, it's kind of funny, anti-Semitic. Like, my sister's converted to Orthodox Judaism, and my father's done more for the people of Israel than probably anybody, but you must be anti-Semitic. And,
now it's full-blown Nazi.
What's that?
Now it's full-blown Nazi.
Yeah, Nazi, and then you're a Nazi. You're a fascist. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure if you define fascism, that wouldn't be Charlie Kirk, who's literally sitting there engaging in First Amendment kind of dialogue with another person. I would say that the guy dressed in black with the sniper rifle shooting over the heads of college kids, like, that guy's probably the fascist. But, it's really interesting that's how you label us. And, it's like the greatest projection of all time. They're everything that we say we are. The problem is America no longer believes their bullshit anymore, and that's why we won in such spectacular fashion.
Well, we hope that's true. Tuesday's results are a little disturbing because they won with the crazy guy in New York, and they won with the more moderate people in Virginia and sort of New Jersey. I don't think she's so moderate, but people are worried about the future. So back on the original question, 2028, is there going to be a Trump on the ballot?
I don't think it would be me, guys. Listen, at a certain point in your life, I can tell you politics is brutal. Politics is, you see a beautiful side of it in certain moments. When my father got Middle East peace, you realize that everything that you'd been through, that whole siege was worth it. At the same time, you see the worst. You see the worst of people. These guys are, politicians I generally just dislike, most of them. These are people, especially on the one side, that they've never opened a business. They've never had to make payroll. They've never had to sign the front of a check. You talk to them about any complicated topic, and they generally have zero understanding of it, and yet they're the people responsible for the legislation of it. And I find that highly ironic, right? But it's a nasty game. At the same time, it can be beautiful if you can actually really kind of effectuate change. But the problem is I'd see politicians go in there all the time into Washington. Eric, I'm going to go to Washington and I'm going to make such a difference. And I go, no, you're not. You're going to get there and you're going to get run over in about 2.5 seconds. And that's generally what happens. And isn't it really amazing that it took this kind of brash billionaire from New York to go into Washington, D.C. and kind of give the middle finger to the entire establishment? And guys, he sat there and he didn't care. He didn't care what it cost. Believe me, it cost us a lot of zeros. And he didn't give a damn, and he didn't care about the lawfare, and he didn't care about the impeachments. What he wanted to do is he wanted to go in there, and he flicked the hornet's nest over and over and over. And every single time he flicked the hornet's nest, they got worse and worse and worse and came after him harder and harder and harder. Most people wouldn't have had the financial ability to do that, and most people wouldn't have had the voice and the movement to be able to do that. It was the ultimate David and Goliath story. He had the two things that you needed. He had that incredible voice and that incredible way to message, and he had the monetary ability to fight these guys back. We spent $400 million as a company defending ourselves from nonsense shams, the Russia hoax, which was totally fabricated, these dirty dossiers, $400 million. Anybody else would have gone in there and they would have just turned them into mush in one day.
Well, never mind when the criminal indictment started, which would have collapsed most people. So not Eric Trump. I mean, is Donald Trump Sr. going to be on the ballot? Because he suggests he might still be there.
So we created the Trump 2028 hat. I actually did, and I wore it one day.
Shitster.
It was actually my chief of staff who's back there. She created it. She's as great as Kim. And she goes, we can print the hats on demand. And so she goes, we got to do something. So she comes to my hat. She's holding a Trump 2028 hat. She goes, put it on. I'm taking a picture of you, and let's post it on social. And instantly, the world started blowing up. Elon retweeted it 2 seconds later. Everybody starts retweeting it. And the media goes freaking nuts. And I'm literally I'm screenshotting the emails to me. Does this mean your father's going to subvert the democracy of the United States and the Constitution? How dare you? I mean, this is from Bloomberg and Time Magazine. And I'm literally snapshotting it, putting laughing emojis and posting it on my Instagram and having so much fun. So anyway, the controversy goes on for 3 days. They're melting down. Everybody finds it hysterical. And she's like, we need to come up with a slogan for this campaign for Trump 2028. And I go, Kim, what's the slogan? She goes, Trump 2028, rewrite the rules.
Oh, God.
And the media freaking melts down again. Guys, it was so great.
It must be so fun for
he
you.
takes the hat, right? And he has it on his desk when Hakeem Jeffries is in there the other day. I'm not sure if you see this. And then one of these great geniuses puts the picture into Grok. Thank God we have Elon, by the way. Puts the picture into Grok and edits the picture. So AI has my father throwing the Trump 2028 hat at Hakeem Jeffries, and it lands perfectly on his head. And once again, the media melts down. But hey, joking aside, to Megyn's actual question, we have so many fighters right now. I'm really proud of JD. He's doing a great job. I'm really proud of...
Yeah.
I'm proud of Marco. He's doing a great job.
Yeah. Oh, big Marco fans.
And by the way, you have 30 other people that could do the job and do a phenomenal job. This is not the class of Mitt Romney, that much I can tell you. And honestly, I think to my father's answer to Oprah Winfrey a long time ago, would you ever run? He said, only if it got so bad I had no other choice. I think there's probably a couple people in our family that feel the same way. If we ever had to throw our hat into the ring because it got really bad, maybe we would. But
you heard it here first.
Not for now. I want to take a little time out from politics for a little while after this one.
Who could blame me? I'll tell you one thing. When and if your dad does exit stage left, we are going to miss him. Thank you. Thank you for your family's service, for your dad's sacrifice, and yours too, Eric Trump. You're an American hero. Love you. Thank you.
So great. Eric Trump, everybody. Yes. Thank you, Miami. We love you. We'll see you soon.